Hello and welcome. I have this meeting recorded as per all of our meetings are. And so I just want to remind everyone that if you're on the call as we get started, as if you are a senator, I need to see some faces on screens. If you're just going to utilize open forum, then of course you're fine to have your camera off. However, I would appreciate while speaking, if you would maybe pop that camera on. And so we are going to begin, essentially. I'm going to call this meeting to order. And as I start, I just kind of want to say two things going in. Number one, just being our Senate as a part of this SGA is really respected among a lot of universities because of the way that we conduct ourselves during meetings and by the way that we conduct ourselves to others and with others who attend our meetings. And so with that being said, I also want to commend so many of you as senators for asking the tough questions, doing your jobs really, and having conversations to try and find solutions. And so with that, we are going to begin, and our first order of business will be open forum. Would anyone like to utilize open forum at this time? All right. And so with that being said, we will move into roll call.
Oh, wait. Open forum for everybody?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have explained that. So we are now going to move into open forum. And what open forum consists of is it's going to be any participants who are part of the Zoom who are not a senator. It's going to be their chance to speak on anything they would like, really. And so I apologize, that was my fault. I will re-ask that question and now say, would anyone like to utilize open forum?
Sure, I'll go.
All right.
I've been informed that someone who's running for, I think vice president, like president of the judicial branch or something, has some like concerning beliefs like that I feel like just wouldn't fit like the position. I don't really know how y'all do things, but I personally would not want Stephen Morrison to be in that position. Chief Justice, and because I just feel like if someone can trivialize like poverty to things like marriage and abstaining to have sex or finishing high school, like I can't see how they can be in that position. And just like other things they've said, especially their Twitter, like their stance on Black Lives Matter, saying hate speech doesn't exist. Like, how can you be a Chief Justice and not think hate speech doesn't exist? Like, that doesn't make sense. Just a whole bunch of stuff. Like, just going through their Twitter just stresses me out. And I don't think I'm the only one that doesn't want to see them in that position.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to utilize open forum? You can just speak out and unmute yourself. All right, so we will now move from open forum into roll call. So at this time, can every senator on please make sure that you have your cameras on, and Jet, if you could check the attendance, and then just, oh, sorry, Jamie. I'll have to make you a co-host 1 second. If everyone could just make sure on screen, and Jet, if you could go and just let me know who's in attendance. All right, Jamie's now the host, so she should be able to share. And with that, we will now move into the approval of the minutes. So I sent out the minutes electronically from Taylor from our previous meeting in the email attached this morning. Does anyone have any potential corrections to the minutes? You can speak out. All right, seeing none, then they are passed, approved, and corrected. So that finishes up the approval of the minutes, and we will now move into reports of the officers. So the first one will be from Rhett.
Hey guys, hope everyone's continuing to have a great summer. I wanted to start out my report today with just a couple of the meetings I've been to, some of the ones I'm going to as always. First thing of import is last week I had a meeting with Trustee Newton and was able to discuss some of the different executive goals we have for the year. We spent a lot of time going over the grade replacement policy, and so I'm eager to see as we kind of continue through this year how we can develop that policy and make it something that can benefit all students at Auburn. So I'm looking forward to that. Another thing that's happened over really since our last meeting is I've had our last Senate meeting. I've had 2 meetings with the Graduate Schools Council, and we've kind of just started working on trying to figure out which priorities of graduate students SGA can really get behind as well. So that's been exciting. And then last thing, looking forward a little bit. So this Thursday, we'll have the kickoff for the Auburn 2040 program. So anyone who's on Auburn 2040 will be there. I'm sure Molly will talk about it further. And then beyond that, this Friday will be another city breakfast with Mayor Anders. So we'll be able to discuss as well how that kickoff went, whatever else comes up. And then looking all the way forward to, I guess, 2 weeks from now, but before our next meeting, we'll have our SEC exchange, which is where our members from our executive team will be able to go to Knoxville with members of the execs from other SEC schools. I'm just be able to share ideas, thoughts, and kind of just collaborate with other SEC schools. And then last update from meetings and all is before our next meeting. So I think it's like the beginning of August, I'll be meeting with Trustee Sanford as well. And I just wanted to make y'all aware of that. If anyone has any concerns, we'll be able to talk about them. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about in my report today, before I'll leave it up to y'all, we heard about it in open forum, but I know that we have a confirmation bill coming through for my appointments for the judicial branch. And I have had, after I made my appointments, I kind of heard a little bit of the concerns that have been going around about Stephen's student media or social media. And I wanted to say that in my time, I've heard some people has read his social media and been in agreement with some of it. Some have been in disagreement. But one thing I have learned in my research is that there was I want y'all to take this into account too, as y'all are thinking today. There was a recent Supreme Court case a couple weeks ago. And in this case, it was called Mahoney Area School District versus BL. And, I wanted to tell y'all about this because it kind of applies somewhat to what we're doing today. But essentially, this case was about whether or not a student who had a questionable happening on her social media could be kept off of a cheerleading team because of it. And the court ended up deciding 8-1 in favor of the student who had been kicked off. And essentially, the main decision here is that it's not up to public institutions to be able to go and read statements that were made privately to determine whether or not they can be involved in different organizations. Now, I think there are a lot of differences between that case and what we have in front of us today. And I wanted to present that information to you as well. But essentially what I think you have today here, and I want y'all to be thinking clearly as well in terms of this is a case that we have in front of us today where what y'all's job and what the Code of Laws says is that the Student Senate has to confirm my appointment with a 2/3 vote. And I want to make sure that you all know that it is up to y'all how to vote. I want you to think clearly as we go through this. But also I want you to remember this too. And it's kind of a funny irony, but if Stephen is confirmed as Chief Justice, he will be the person who is objectively interpreting the Code of Laws. And I want you guys as well tonight to just a reminder that is y'all's role here tonight as well, is to objectively interpret the Code of Laws. And I want you to remember that as you undertake this responsibility, I charge you to approach this with an appropriate respect for the gravity of it, but as well as fascination and the attention that this situation deserves. I know Brad and Pearson talked to us a lot about how SGA is here to prepare us for the real world. And this is us, a room full of 18 to 22-year-olds who are about to be able to tackle a real world decision. So I hope you understand the gravity of that as well. I have complete faith in you all to be able to figure this situation out. as it is y'all's job in the code of laws to do. So I'm eager to see what you do, and I'll be here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rhett. We will now move into the report from the treasurer, which is Stephen.
Hey guys, biggest thing for y'all that I had this week. I know we've talked about student activity fees and really explaining kind of some of the stuff that breaking that down for you guys. So we recently, about the last week or two, came up with the draft of breaking down all those different student activity fees. Moving forward, we're not going to show you the draft now, but what we're going to show you here in a couple of weeks is when we put it up on the website. And so what we're hoping that's going to look like is somewhere in AU Access. I'm not exactly sure directly where yet, but we're going to be breaking down all those different fees just so that you can see exactly what that's being used for. Really the hope is, and this is the most important part of the report, I think, is that you understand what's being spent, but at the same time, we're not rebutting what's being spent. So like, for example, I know that like the swimming pool, it's like $12 for like each student to like have access to that or something. So like, really what we're hoping is that it breaks down exactly what that $12 is going towards, so that you understand, but we're hoping that you don't, take that information and, the university's grace and kind of breaking that down to then rebut and like ask why you have to pay it for stuff like that. So please just be respectful of that. We hope that this will be a resource for you and other students also on campus, and look forward to any feedback that you guys have about it as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Stephen. From there, we will move to CNM.
Hey everyone, happy Monday. So a few things for me first. This summer in SGA, so like this week in SGA, but whole summer recap will be coming out in a couple of weeks. Senate committee chairs, so y'all be on the lookout in our group me, because MEBSN will be sending a link in there for y'all to fill out anything that you wish to be included in that, and you can disseminate to the rest of the senators. But that will be coming soon. Last one before our summer retreat or our fall retreat. So fill out anything you want to be in the loop, catch people up on. And then next, I'm about to send a poll in here. If you're not a senator and you're watching this, you don't have to fill this out. This is just a poll about SGA merch. If you have a t-shirt yet, what kind of things you would want in the next year, how much you would want to pay. So if y'all could take like 30 seconds to go through and fill that out, that would be greatly appreciated. And then also this next link will be included in this summer in SGA email, but going ahead and sending it since we've gotten a lot of requests. But this is the box link to everyone's headshots that we're able to take them. We'll have a makeup once we get back to school, because I know since it was so last minute, some people had to miss, but here are your headshots. Hope to see everyone's LinkedIn updated with these soon. But please let me know if you need anything from CNM or have any questions. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Claudia. We will move into outreach.
Thanks, Cole. So biggest thing right now for outreach is going to be Auburn 2040. The kickoff is this week. It's on Thursday. So if you're an Auburn 2040 representative, make sure you are in the Auburn High School auditorium. It starts at 5:30. Please be there 10 to 15 minutes early. Like we talked about, make sure you're dressed appropriately. You come prepared to take notes, and make sure if you're a committee head, you are reaching out to everyone on your committee and making sure that they'll be in attendance. And if not, make sure that I know beforehand, but everyone should be there, so there shouldn't be any problems with that. But coming up this Thursday, we have the finalized list of AU 10 participants, which is awesome. And so we'll just go ahead and we'll let you all know. We'll probably send that out on an email so you guys can have a list of that. And we have some marketing materials coming for that soon. And then make sure you are working, if you're interacting with freshmen, you're getting them excited about the fun first few things coming up in the school year. We have Hay Day coming up. We have Welcome Week. There's going to be some really cool events going on. So make sure that you're really connecting with the new students and making them feel like Auburn is a home for them.
Thank you so much, Molly. From there, we will move into initiatives.
Thanks, Cole. War Eagle, everybody. I'm going to update y'all on a couple past and present exec goals. And so as far as past, the NPHC Legacy Plaza is now scheduled to be completed in April 2022. And along with that, the Edge is also still on track. We got to tour it the other day and it looks extremely nice. And I'm excited to see how everybody gathers in there and maybe how Senate can utilize one of the classrooms by the windows. But both of those are looking great. And so as far as current, as Rhett mentioned, he had a meeting with Trustee Newton regarding the grade replacement policy. And so for that meeting, we were able to put together a large brief of a proposal for what it looks like and different information that would be needed. And so now we're kind of taking that and getting it checked on more often and taking it to new offices. So then secondly, we presented an additional exec goal under academics regarding rentable devices. But now we are slightly pivoting to loanable devices, which primarily only targets laptops because those are the devices that have previously been used in a program similar, and those are the ones that typically do not get as damaged as much, and they're the highest need. So with that, we're working with the library and the bookstore to nail down the details and see that through. And so last thing, this is something that more just kind of came up throughout the year, and it's what we're calling the safety net. And so this is right now primarily an idea of something that we would love to see carried through. And so this is kind of the thoughts of where we are now. So the program would involve 3 different offices. Well, not limited to, but potentially involving 3 different offices. So it'd be Auburn Cares and University Housing, University Dining. And it would seek to serve students that may be on the brink of dropping out of college due to financial reasons. And we've been exploring this in a way that we would be able to give a package to a student in need where they would be able to receive housing and dining for a full semester. And some different scenarios could be like a student may work 2 jobs and pay for their entire school. And that could be very taxing on their grades and how it affects their living. And so this would give them an opportunity to maybe only work 1 job, pocket the extra money because they're not paying for housing or dining, and that would allow them to get back on their feet and maybe keep them from dropping out and putting them on a path to graduation. Similar scenario, someone may receive money from their parents every month to pay for rent or to pay for dining, and their parents may, let's say someone loses a job or their car breaks down and they have an unexpected expense where they can't provide as much to their student that's here to pay for these things. And so similarly, it would give them a chance to get back on their feet. And the primary goal is to keep students here to graduate. Because obviously, as we are called to be an Auburn family, family looks out for each other. And so that's why I love this initiative, and I hope that all of y'all see it for what it is and get behind it as well, because this could keep a student from dropping out, and giving them that degree and putting them on a path to graduating would be something that could change their life forever. And so that's kind of a basic overview of that goal. We're exploring different options, nothing set in stone, but those are the ideas we're at right now. So thank you all.
Thank you. We will now move into cabinet administration.
Hey guys, sorry. Anyway, so for today, freshman forum, as many of you know, applications are open. And so if you are or know anyone that's coming in and they're looking to get involved, we'll have an info session next Thursday at 6:30. And so if you want to hop on to that, or any freshman wants to hop onto that, make sure that they know about that. As our applications are already out, that'll be perfect for any more questions. The next time that we see you guys won't be until our retreat. And so that's something that you guys will come to as well. So make sure to just stay in the loop and information about that in general. We're taking up a lot of office hours from people that are within cabinet we're looking at the office hours for people that are in cabinet, just in case you guys, if there are things that people need to work on or collaboration opportunities that need to be had, you guys will have the opportunity to do that. And then last, like Rhett mentioned, I know that you guys have a big conversation coming up, and I know that he cited one of the cases. Another one that I wanted to cite was Denton v. I don't know how to say his last name, Hesh, something like that. I'll put it in the chat. But one of the things with that, it was kind of the same scenario, but the president of that university, the student government president of that university, had kind of cited or said something that a lot of people thought were outlandish and shouldn't have been said. And the Senate went in, removed him, different things like that. But once it went to a bigger court case, the senator said that they had removed him based on religious beliefs. And once that had been said by the senators and that was cited as a source, it was noted that they cannot do that because of a public university. So because of that, I want to encourage you all to think about every single word that comes out of your mouth tonight. Every single thing is going to be just as important. I think that this, as Rhett mentioned, is one of the biggest decisions that you'll make just in student government, but also just as a human being and a citizen of America, just making sure that you are being cautious with your word and your tone. I also want to note that whenever you guys just direct your questions, there were a few, like some of us on exec sat in those meetings and sat in those, and the other rest of us weren't able to sit in those interviews or application processes. And so we wouldn't be able to speak too much to the appointment or different things like that. So just make sure that when you guys are thinking about that or asking us different things, that some of us might have more information about the candidate or how this confirmation came to be than other of us. I am already proud of y'all for how y'all are going to carry this conversation. I know y'all would do it well. And y'all have a great leader in Cole that will direct it as follows. But always feel free to let us know if y'all have any questions or concerns. And I applaud you guys in advance.
Thank you, Tyler. I greatly appreciate that. I do. And so now we are going to move, of course, after having concluded reports of officers, we will now move into reports of the colleges. And so that will begin with the at-large college.
Haston at large. Hey guys, just wanted to let y'all know we are working on nailing down our times for office hours during the fall, and we're going to be splitting that into 2 different sessions so that we can be available to our constituents more often. I also wanted to let y'all know that I've heard a lot of positive feedback about the new Tiger cards. I'm very excited personally about that. And yeah, that's all from us.
Thank you so much, Jake. That will conclude at large. And I'm sorry, I should have repeated this at the beginning or just reminded everyone, but please be aware to say that your last name before and your title of the part of the college you're from before you speak. If you're a senator, Taylor does a phenomenal job of taking minutes. She really does. However, it's kind of tricky when we're hearing a lot of voices, especially if we're going to talk. So please make sure to use name and title before speaking. Thank you. And so after that, we will move into agriculture. All right, we will move into the College of Business.
McDonald Business. Hey, everybody. Hope y'all had a good 4th of July and are having a good summer so far. We have gotten a location to store our center office hour signs. We also have a weekly time not quite set up yet, but we do have our location set up. And the schools council should be getting back to us within the next week or so about our Welcome Week event.
Thank you so much, Mr. McDonald. From there, we will move into CAD-C.
CAD-C,
Harris?
Henson.
Oh.
CAD-C. I'll
Go
go,
ahead, Sam,
Ashley.
we got
We had a meeting with our schools council that was very productive in terms of looking for our Welcome Week events. Ashley and I are still looking at what our office hours are going to be and where we're going to get our signs stored. But we're going to have another meeting with our schools council, hopefully before the summer is over.
Thank you so much. We will now move into the College of COSAM. All right. We will move into the College of Education.
Dodd Education, Senator Mathner and I are still working on a time and place for our office hours, but that's all that we have to report.
Thank you so much. We will move into engineering.
Second year engineering. Okay, miss y'all. Not a whole lot from us. Our Eden Council is putting together our Welcome Week event, which should be fun. And then our signs are being stored in the Professional Engineering Organization Suite, which is fancy. And we all have Swipe access to that. So that's all from us.
Thank you. We will now move to Forestry and Wildlife Sciences, College of, sorry.
Starling School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences. So this past month for the School of Forestry Schools Council has been filled with a bunch of meetings. We met the last week in June to discuss our Welcome Week planning, and we came to find out that the Schools Council has actually never played that big of a role in planning Welcome Week at the school. So we're meeting with our Student Services Director and our event coordinator to discuss how we can get Schools Council back on the planning committee. We have also set up, or in the process of setting up, a meeting with the College of Ag to discuss hosting a joint tailgating event come fall. And we also have a meeting that's set up for July 15th with our new SCPS liaison, Dr. Patrick O'Keefe, just to kind of discuss his role and what he's hoping to come out of his position in the Schools Council. As for me, I still have my office hours set up from Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 12. And I've also begun working on our Schools Council's constitution so that after Welcome Week, me, the president and vice president can kind of get to work on making final decisions about how we want that to look.
Thank you so much, Casey. And we will now move into the grad school. And Mr.
DeVore,
DeVore,
graduate.
you're fine to have your camera off if you'd like.
Oh no, it's okay now. DeVore Graduate School. I'm sorry, I'm traveling today, so I'm just kind of like pulled over to the side at the moment. But to update, it's kind of similar to forestry. We've had a lot of meetings that have been happening. As Rhett mentioned, I've met along with the grad school council president and briefly vice president, just to kind of, look at collaborative efforts for this year. And for my office hours, I have everything worked out except for finalizing the dates for some, because mine will alter since I have students all across campus. We have a dean's cafe once a month, and so I'm gonna coordinate so that my first week each month is my college office hours are going to be with that. So just getting the final dates for that, and then I'll be all set. Our graduate student council, our departmental level senators are being finalized. So one of the things that I really want to do, and what I hope to bring when we all get back together in August, is have a list for senators within colleges, for all of you to have graduate student council departmental counterparts to really reach out to work on any efforts that are going on within the college, because I know that a lot of our student organizations at the grad level within the colleges have a lot of plans for this coming year. So hopefully it'll be a really productive year. We are finalizing our Welcome Week event, hopefully this week, with one more exec meeting, and also finalizing our colloquia series that we have once a month in the fall and spring semesters. So we're getting our speakers finalized, and that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. DeVore. That concludes the graduate school report, and we will move into the College of Human Sciences.
Williams Human Sciences. Hi guys, miss y'all. As far as office hours are concerned, I think I want to do one of mine Wednesdays at noon, possibly a Mel, since that's technically one of our buildings, and the sign will be stored in Spidle and I can just jet over. As far as schools council, they're still waiting on student recruiter things to work out when they can do theirs. So I'm hoping that my Spital office hour can line up with one of theirs. As far as Welcome Week is concerned, our event is going to be on Thursday from 9 to 11 and then from 1 to 3. We booked the Kona Ice Truck, so that'll be like the main attraction. We will also have like giveaways and goodies. We don't know what those are yet, but they'll be there. Ambassadors will be just in the lobby helping, answering questions, being friendly, as well as having booths set up with some of like the human science things like study abroad and our honor society, global studies, things like that. And then our event will be on Thursday, but we'll have ambassadors stationed in Spital like all through the week just to help people get to classes and answer questions and things like that.
Thank you so much. We will move from there to the College of Liberal Arts.
Hall, liberal arts. Not a whole lot today. We've been communicating a lot this summer. Really, the only main update we have is as far as office hours go, we do intend on utilizing the new central dining hall in the fall to make sure we're communicating everything to our students, and everything beyond that, that's about it.
Thank you so much. Now to the College of Nursing.
Stephanie in nursing, we're for the most part just finalizing our welcome week and office hours.
All right, thank you. We will now move to the College of Pharmacy, or the School of Pharmacy, I should say. My apologies.
Nice pharmacy. So right now I'm just kind of working with the schools council just to make sure that all of our students are aware of when they need to, or when they're supposed to register for parking, and just making sure everybody has that straight since it was kind of a headache last year. And I'm also working on coordinating organization meeting times to make sure nobody's having too much overlap, and making sure nobody tries to schedule one during our school's general assembly time.
Thank you, thank you. And last but never least, we will move to Vet Med. All right. And so from there, we are actually now going to move, as we finish reports from colleges, we will move into our committee reports, our 6 standing committees, and that will begin with the Academic Affairs Committee.
McElroy, CLA. So we've got a lot going on in academic affairs, but the biggest things that we've got going on right now, we're setting up meetings with faculty for equitable mentorships, especially in regards to the grad school. And then we're also brainstorming marketing ideas for rentable laptops. So for like the rentable laptops and devices program, how can we get the word out about that? We've had a few ideas like QR codes and having teachers talk about it, especially in the big freshman classes. But if y'all have any other ideas, we would love for you to get into contact with either me or Cullen and let us know about that. And then we have a new initiative regarding grades being put into Canvas in a more timely manner. And so we're looking at trying to benchmark policies for other schools and when they put in the grades to try and get our grades put in a week before finals so people can calculate out their grade before. And that's what we've got.
Thank you, thank you. After the Academic Affairs Committee, we will have the Budget and Finance Committee with Ms. Lisenby.
Lisenby at large. So my committee members have done a great job getting the feedback on initial budgets back to their student financial representatives. The final budgets for the SAPs are due July 23rd. And then we have our budget hearing schedule finalized. So preliminary hearings will be August 24th and 25th, and final budget hearings will be September 7th and 8th. And that's all we have.
Thank you, Reese. And after that, we are going to have the Code of Laws Committee.
McDonald Business. Kyla has been meeting with Mary Kate Hillis, who is the Executive Director of Elections, and they have been discussing election timelines for the year. And tonight we have a Miss Homecoming timeline as a future order, but that needs to be approved 30 days before the kickoff. And so we're going to go ahead and try to bring it through tonight. So with that being said, I move to suspend the rules of order and move PSSB 2108-2301 from a future order to a current order.
Okay, so a motion has been made to move that piece of legislation from a future to a current. Are there any questions? All right, seeing that there's no questions, we'll move into debate. Is there any debate on that?
Cole, you need a second.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. Did Graf hit me with one? Did I not hear it?
Second.
All right. So from there, we will now move into, I guess, a debate. Is there any debate on this motion? All right, seeing none, we will move into a vote. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please vote aye. And to suspend the rules and move it from a future to current.
Aye.
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 All right, Jet, and if you will give me just a chat. Yeah, the yeses have it. All right, and we will now just, I guess, keep on trucking along. Did you have anything else?
That's it. Thanks, Cole. McDonald business. That's it. Thanks, Cole. Correct.
Thank you, Hayden, and thank you for remembering. So with that concluded, we will now move into the DEI committee with Mr. Belser.
Belser Liberal Arts. Hey folks, how are y'all doing this summer? So we have a couple things coming through. We are looking at the Green Dot program. I know that made it onto exec goals. I know that we are communicating right now. I just had a meeting this week with my cabinet counterpart as well as the assessment and feedback. So we're talking about how we go forward, looking at what the other universities are doing with that effort, and definitely getting a resolution soon, as well as the study spaces resolution. We're looking forward to soon. We already got our data at about a month ago, and so really excited to see that come through, as well as some feedback that I did collect by people actually like texting me, calling me, is that a lot of people were concerned with verbiage on the campus safety and security's AU alerts. They are really thankful that they are here, but they have felt that sometimes they unnecessarily may victimize a group of people by asking members of the community to identify people by metrics that aren't necessarily easy to recognize one person. So, for example, asking somebody to recognize a person and only giving that they're 5'8" tall, and that's not necessarily a great parameter. So I think that people would like to see in the future, if people are going to ask, or if the campus safety and security is going to ask for the identification of a potential suspect in a case, that people would like to get at least a little bit more information, maybe a picture or something of that sort. And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Belser. And so from there, my bad, I muted myself. We will move into the Student Affairs Committee with Mr. Matthews.
Matthews at large, not much from us, just really Senator Hastings continuing his work on the basketball lines. And he's trying to compile specific requests and examples to bring to athletic administration. Some of his examples are having a Weagle DJ, scheduling the breakfast with Bruce, having the cheerleaders or the dance team come out and perform. If you have any other specific examples, send them to either him or me, and I can relay it to him. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, John David. And now, last but never least, we will have the exec committee with Mr. Sullivan.
Sullivan Engineering. What's up, guys? Not a whole lot for me. Just gonna say thank you all for making this summer both enjoyable and smooth, but also I think pretty good in terms of what we're able to get done. Some of the groundwork we're able to lay for the fall. So I'm kind of excited to see where that goes. I'm very excited to get back and see each and every one of you in person, and not just over the computer once a month. Maybe you don't want to see me, but I want to see you. So with that, just kind of repeating everything everyone else has said, just in terms of tonight, I know things are different online, but just continue to do a great job as we've done all summer about maintaining professionalism while online, handling the way that things are in Zoom, doing all of that great stuff. And I look forward to hearing what each and every one of you have to say.
Thank you so much, Graf. And so that now actually concludes our committee reports. So we will now have our liaison reports. So we are going to begin with the ever wonderful Miss Leah Stewart from the ASVA. she is here. But if she is not, that is fine. We can try and loop back around. We will begin
She's
with.
muted.
Oh, you're muted, Leah. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I was trying to find the window so I can unmute myself. Okay, so
You're all
good
good.
evening, y'all. Hope everybody's has enjoyed their 4th of July and is having a good summer thus far. Nothing crazy to report. We do have some fall events coming up. We would sure love it if you guys are able to come out and show some support. We're going to be doing some things at Draft House, and of course we have our gala. We're going to be doing some fundraisers to send our veterans over to NatCon, which is something that comes around every year, usually in January. And it just allows us to kind of stay in touch with other universities that have veterans in similar circumstances and all that stuff. But other than that, I don't really have anything new for you guys. Oh, Stuart with student veterans. I don't know if that applies to the liaisons, but
Hey, listen, I appreciate it, and I know Taylor does too, so thank you. So thank you, Leah. That wraps up from the ASVA liaison, and we will now move into the Honors College liaison. Mr. Luke, are you here?
Yes, sir. Owens, Honors Congress liaison. So we have officially restructured our meeting format. They have been divided between working meetings in which the Congress splits up into committees and large group meetings where we either participate in team building activities or we welcome a guest speaker to come speak on a particular topic to honor students. We have officially scheduled and planned our meetings and events for the fall. They are now officially on our calendar. One of these includes our Welcome Week event, which will be August 18th at 7 o'clock. It will be on Cater Lawn and it will also be throwback themed. We are also excited to announce that we have added a new academic committee and have already appointed a chair. That's all from me, guys. Thank y'all, and I cannot wait to see all of you again in person next month.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. We will now have the BSU liaison, Mr. Donovan.
Evans, BSU. I hope you guys are having a great summer. Like Graf said, I'm ready to see you guys in August as well because can't wait to get back to school. But not much from BSU lately. We're still transitioning from old cabinet to new cabinet. And as well, we hosted a mixer earlier last week with some alumni from Auburn University. It was really insightful, just getting information from these, I don't want to call them elders because not everybody was that old, but just people older than us telling us tips about how they went through school. And it was really insightful to us. And I just wanted to reiterate what Tyler and Graf both said earlier. I hope we all continue to present ourselves professionally, even on social media. Thank you.
Thank you, Donovan. We will now have the freshman. Oh, wait, no, we won't. I apologize. And so with that being said, we will now move into current orders of business. And so the first one will be PSSB 21011701. Okay, I was reading the screen. I apologize. 01, which is from Graf Sullivan from the College of Engineering, and it is titled Judicial Branch Confirmations. And before we start current orders, sorry, Graf, I would like to just go through Kaylee's PowerPoint one more time. So do give me a second, just so that I can check to make sure that I'm talking through the key points I wanted to highlight. I apologize. It's right here. Okay, here we go. All right, so for current orders, just as a memory refresher, what is going to occur is that when we are in a current order, the author introduces themselves. The author begins by reading the legislation in verbatim in its entirety. Then I will ask for questions. If any question is posed on the Senate floor at any point during the meeting, it's technically directed at me, and then I can defer the appropriate question to the person who has the answer. For instance, it's usually the author if it's regarding a particular bill. However, if there are questions being asked tonight to like Graf and I, as he's reading this, I guess Graf, I think you can do a job of deferring them. I will as well. So after questions are asked, I will commence debate. And so remember that when debate begins, the author has the right to speak first and can provide context. So basically the first point of debate is the author providing the context of the bill. And then debate is to close when discussion ends, or by a 2/3 vote closes debate, which had to be motioned by one of you guys. So then the author makes the motion must be seconded. And then of course we go through the process after you make a motion, but that happens after debate and after the questions. All right. That was just a little teaser refresher real fast. And so Graf, you can begin.
Sullivan, Engineering. I ask for approval of the following: Stephen Morris, Chief Justice; Gabriel Page, Associate Justice; Lauren Lewis, Associate Justice; Louis Lavasque, Associate Justice; Marla Zappa, Associate Justice; Ian Guerrero, Associate Justice; Matthew Robichaud, Associate Justice; Liam Walsh, Alternate Associate Justice; Harrison May, Alternate Associate Justice.
All right. And so thank you, Graf. I will now ask if there are any questions. Okay. And so seeing that there are no questions, I will now move into the debate portion of this meeting. And so remember, as you speak, use your name, use your title, and the author has the first right to speak during debate.
Yeah, pretty standard confirmation bill. I was sent this by I believe Rhett Wagner after they went through a application and interview process for all these positions.
All right, thank you. And so now you're in regular debate.
Belser Liberal Arts. So I believe highly of the selection committee and Auburn SGA's, as we've talked about, ability to do a great job selecting candidates that represent everything it means to be an Auburn student. I do believe that a candidate on this slate of selections is unfit to serve, and that they would not judge without bias due to the fact that they have previously referred to humans, human population, as, quote, inhumane animals, unquote. And so for that reason, I don't have confidence to pass this bill. Thanks.
Thank you, Brandon. Anyone else may speak. Is there any further debate? I guess I should ask.
Williams, Human Sciences. I just wanted to say that after seeing some of the things that one candidate has said, it just doesn't, I don't have confidence that if something that were controversial, I guess, to come up, that it would be unbiased, because like we kind of talked about before, this isn't religion, and this is some of the things that I've seen have been concerning just humans and equality and things like that. And since this is a confirmation and not something that the student body can elect, I think it's really Senate's job to look out for the student body and make sure that it's someone who can represent the student body, because SGA is a representation of just that, the student body. And you have to make sure that it will represent everyone fairly.
Sullivan,
Thank
Engineering.
you. Oh, wait. Okay. And so wait, I should have explained this as well. I'm sorry. I do apologize for not saying this earlier. If a member who is not a senator wishes to speak during debate, current debate on pieces of legislation, current orders, then a senator must begin to speak and yield their time to the non-Senate member. So I believe I can see a hand up and I can't find it in the chat, but you would have to have a senator yield your time to you, whatever that hand is. If it's a senator, you can obviously speak. And so with
Sullivan,
that qualification, I will ask, is there any further debate?
Sullivan Engineering. I would like to yield my time to Dion. Sorry if I mispronounced your name.
Thank you. You pronounced it correctly. So I'm sorry that like my words were not as well put together earlier. I wasn't really prepared to speak tonight, but I would like to say that I think that someone who has seemed to like support initiatives that aren't very inclusive to the Auburn family, I can't fully like support the idea of them being Chief Justice. I think that someone who trivializes poverty by 3 quotas, such as waiting till they're 21 to be married and have children, and finishing high school and getting a full-time job cannot fully represent the students at Auburn, as there are students who were not well off growing up. Like during this meeting, y'all have talked about, you know, making it easier for students who don't have that much money. But he has made statements that trivialize that experience, and I can't say that he would administer that position with full consideration on their best, like with their best interests at heart. Like as a Black student, I feel that like Morris specifically does not understand the Black struggle or the struggles of the LGBT community or being a woman or the intersectionality of those things. I think to administer, enforce, or interpret justice, true justice, there needs to be empathy, understanding, and nonpartisanship, right? I don't think Morris can do that. I don't think that he can do that with the best interest of everybody at Auburn. He may cater to a certain type of Auburn person, but not everyone. And SGA is for everyone. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there any further debate?
DeVore Graduate School. I would like to yield my time to Maya Strickland.
Okay.
Hey y'all, I'm sorry I can't turn my camera on. I'm leaving work, but I just wanted to say hi. This is my first time, I think, getting an opportunity to come to Senate. This year's BSU president and have been a part of this organization for a really long time. And since we are considered a governance organization, I just felt like this was the time for us to really just like hone into what that means, especially with our partnership with SGA. And I'm sad that it had to come.
You muted yourself, Maya.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know where I left off, but I was sad that this is such an unfortunate way that I have to introduce myself, because I would love to have great partnerships with you guys, but I am not confident in the approval for Stephen Morris as Chief Justice. I think that it's just unfortunate that we still have people who still think these negative thoughts about people that really don't look like them and don't really understand what their life has been like or will ever be like, considering that they can't step in their shoes, and have just thoughts of just negativity towards them. And it's really just disheartening to see that, you know, we as Auburn students aren't taking such a stand by even allowing this to even get this far. However, I would say that a comment was made to me today that I think really summed up this situation, and that scared me of like how the plausibility of this is. And it's from someone who's here. I won't state the name, but how would we do with a situation where someone who is of the trans community decided to run for a position that is not of, you know, their normal gender, such as Miss Homecoming, and then that had to sit upon the shoulders of Stephen Morris. And I think that we all know in cases like these that equal justice would not be in the hands of someone who thinks thoughts that are really just really hard to read and could just be said out loud about people of the LGBTQ community, people in the Black community, and just women. So I hope that you guys just, really take the time to understand that, people are looking, people are watching, and people are definitely going to want to see what SGA decides on this matter, to continue to see if you guys are really, advocating for that diversity and inclusion that y'all really want to see here at Auburn. So good luck to you guys. I hope you guys have a great vote. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Is there any further debate?
McDonald business. I haven't specifically seen the tweets or anything. So I was just wondering if we get some context on exactly what we're talking about.
I think that was a question. So I'm not actually sure that you can ask that if you'd like to make a point about there being context or not, but that is a question and this is debate.
McDonald, that's my apologies.
I could be wrong, but he was responding to a point made in debate, and he couldn't have asked a question about it prior to it being brought up.
I guess that's my fault. In that case, is there anyone you would direct that question to?
McDonald business, not specifically. I just keep hearing bits and pieces of what's being said, and I would just like to hear some of the full statements and see that all in full.
All right. Well, I do think we can still continue debate.
Bells for Liberal Arts. So I would like to, because I know a lot of people talked about the code and things of that nature. So I would like to provide a little bit of perspective, because in the code, it does not say much under the confirmation section, but I did do some reading today and just over the past couple of weeks, just in general, I like to sort of be well-versed on the code. And so it doesn't say necessarily what the duty of senators is to confirm somebody in the confirmation section, but under section or chapter 308, the impeachment section, one of these subsections, 308.3.4 says that a legitimate reason for Senate to impeach a candidate would be for committing actions unbecoming of the holder of the office in question. And so I would like to say that even though this is not that, and this can't necessarily be applied to that, that elsewhere in the code, it is stated that a legitimate reason for Senate to basically deny a candidate for a position is due to any action that they deem is unbecoming of the office in question. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of code perspective. I know that isn't directly applicable, but that is found elsewhere in the code, and there is nothing explicit in the confirmations chapter 307. And so I did just want to provide that for anybody that wanted to hear sort of what the code thinks the senator's duty is.
Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. To be honest, I'm not sure what to do with the chat because that is not a senator speaking. So I'd like to remind anyone who's a non-senator member that if they'd like to contribute to the debate, they would have to have a senator yield their time. With that being said, is there any further debate?
Sullivan Engineering. I want to point out that was a great point by Senator Belser, in the sense that there is no direct kind of rules for confirmation. However, it would be illogical to confirm a Chief Justice member that we would immediately then impeach for violating the rules. So while it was not important in his confirmation, it would be illogical to go and confirm him if he was already breaking a rule. But with that, I kind of just wanted to continue to talk about the tweets, specifically because I have seen some of them. I have not seen all of them. And some of the ones that have been referenced, I don't think I've seen. My concern only comes from what a dangerous precedent it would set if we were to strike down this confirmation on the basis of political beliefs. However, if there was something in the tweets that we feel goes beyond politics, that goes into discriminatory actions, simple like I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my words right now, but stuff that we think is unbecoming of an SGA member beyond political beliefs. I think that's worth considering. But I saw both Maya, I saw, sorry, I'm picking on you because I know you. I saw you said that you have screenshots of the tweets. If you want to just like read them, if you're comfortable doing that. Obviously I don't want to put you on the spot. Oh, actually, I just got a text from Donovan. So I'm just going to read a few tweets, if that's okay. They're going to cancel the Bible, and aborted baby is just as much a baby as a miscarried baby. Motherly love or that lack thereof has no impact on the baby's intrinsic humanity. Democrats are so racist they think some Black people are legitimately incapable of getting an ID. How insulting. Personal responsibility, not more government, is the key to escaping poverty in America. Only 2% of adults who followed these 3 simple rules are in poverty. Finish high school, get a full-time job, wait until 21 to get married and have children. You say Black Lives Matter, but ignore Black on Black murder. You're a ridiculous hypocrite. Hate speech does not exist. Speech is not violent. Black terrorists have taken the position that police officers simply allow themselves to be killed by violent criminals. This is unsurprising considering that they believe police lives don't matter. Furthermore, these inhumane animals celebrate their death. Pure evil. A society whose level of outrage at the violent crime is determined by the perpetrator's skin color is not a healthy society. So those are just some of the tweets that I was sent. I thought that it was very important in terms of context, because, like I said, political views should not be considered in terms of like whether we think someone should be confirmed or not.
Is there any further debate?
I have something. In the Code of Laws, since we're talking about it, 401.3.2 says the Chief Justice shall have the following duties: call and preside over meetings and hearings of the Judicial Court, attend meetings, preliminary hearings, and formal hearings of the Judicial Court, and cast a vote in all preliminary and formal hearings, uphold the responsibilities of the court, call a preliminary hearing of the court, and determine by majority vote, not just him, whether a formal complaint should be addressed in a formal hearing, verify official opinions of the court, official SG seal before archiving, and assign the task of writing the court's opinion to an associate justice or choose to complete the task independently. And although I can understand the concerns and hesitations of people, I don't believe that the political views of the candidate in question have anything to do with his ability and qualifications of him to uphold the role of Chief Justice. If we begin to now scrutinize the political views of a person and personally attack the nominations of these positions, it sets a really dangerous precedent for years to follow. The role of the Supreme Court is to be unbiased and fair in rulings, political views aside. And I don't believe that the political views of the nominee at hand will impair his ability to uphold the duties of Chief Justice as outlined in the Code of Laws. To address the proposed problems that the senator about like upholding student leaders to certain standards, the problem at hand that we're discussing is not about upholding them to standards set by Auburn, the Code of Laws, or even the creed to which we subscribe. The problem is the standards set by the people who hold different ideologies than the nominees at hand. So we need to take literally all of our political views aside, put them aside, say, is he qualified or is he not able to uphold the Code of Laws? That's pretty much all we're looking at. Also, I yield my time to Mrs. Gwen Charles.
Hi, all. Just want to say thanks for having me. I'm not a senator. My name is Gwen Charles. I'm a rising junior. And I'm just wanting to talk as a constituent of that large senators and also as a constituent of CLA just about this issue. I'm not talking on behalf of any organization I'm affiliated with. This is all just my own personal opinion as an Auburn student. I want to echo some of the things that have already been said tonight. I think that it's a very dangerous thing to start vetting candidates by their political affiliations. And if this Senate is going to sit here and for a nomination go through their Twitter and say, do we agree with this or not agree with this? I would expect that the Senate would hold that same standard for every single other person who is nominated to any position in student government, whether that be in the judicial or executive branch. And if that's the standard that you're going to set, then actually set that and say that the candidates in question have to agree with your political ideology. If not, I would suggest, probably abiding by the code of laws and how much a candidate can or cannot abide by your code of laws. That's obviously up to you to vote and decide on. But I think that, as an Auburn student and just also as an American, every single person has the right to say what they want to say, whether or not you agree with them. And I don't want this to be a political issue where people who think that's not what this is about to me. I see this as, Stephen is a student who's allowed to share his beliefs. And if the Senate believes that those beliefs are the reason he shouldn't be confirmed, I think that's a really dangerous precedent. And then whoever, a majority, or I guess in this case, a 2/3 vote in this Senate could decide to not appoint people based on their political position. You set a precedent for that. So I just want to say that as a student, as an Auburn student, that's a really dangerous precedent to set. I don't think that that's the job of the Senate. I don't think it's the job of the Senate to be taking political stances. It's to represent what's in the best interest of Auburn and to uphold the code of law and not to take a political stance on things. So I want to encourage you all to view the candidate from an objective standpoint, a non-political standpoint. And obviously this candidate was nominated for a reason. Every single candidate on this list was nominated for a reason. They went through an interview and application process. And so I think that bringing political views into this is not the way to approach it. And I thank you guys all for listening, and thank you, Coleman, for recognizing me. And yeah, that's all.
Bells, may I go? Bells for Liberal Arts. So I would like to clarify a few things because maybe it was misconstrued. Not one senator, to my knowledge, I haven't heard, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't heard a single senator bring any political, any ideology, any creed, any division into this. Especially what I said, I don't take kindly, nor I don't know if that was directed at me, but I don't take kindly to any senator accusing somebody of calling somebody out due to the fact that they have a different, what they presume to be a different political stance, because again, nobody has stated one. So what I will go in and say yet again is that, from what I said at the beginning, is that if any person came up here for confirmation, if any single student on Auburn's campus came for confirmation and referred to somebody as an inhumane animal, end quote, quote, inhumane animal, end quote, they would be absolutely, totally, wholly unfit to serve in any position in the Student Government Association. Now, anybody can take that to, whatever they would like to vote. But I really would not, I would really like the senators to remain in a non-accusatory position. And I do take that to quite offense.
Williams, Human Sciences. I'd like to yield my time to Shakoria Akins.
Wait, I apologize, Sydney. I had meant to unmute myself really fast. Ashton
sorry.
Dickinson has had his hand raised for a while. I apologize, Sydney, and I wanted to
Oh,
provide him.
I am so sorry. I didn't know we were
No,
raising hands.
You're fine. I'm not even sure if you can see that. So
Okay.
Ashton, you are welcome to go.
Dickinson Business, and I'd like to yield my time to Maya Strickland.
Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for yielding your time. I just wanted to just echo what Brandon said. I keep hearing political views being brought into this, and I feel like it's just kind of being diminished to that by using that terminology. When we're actually just talking about human decency. We're just talking about, taking into account that, there are other people on this campus outside of what we may identify as ourselves, and that they also matter. Their opinions matter. And just because there isn't that representation for them here, we need to make sure that when there is when there is definitely controversial things taken to that judicial branch, that they can make those objective decisions like you guys are keep stating here. So I just want you to know that how we are trying to conduct ourselves in this vote here by being objective is exactly what we are trying to make sure happens on the other side of this vote. And with the candidates we have now, student, because I am a student here, is saying that I don't see that as plausible. And so I just want us to just really think about what we're saying and what we want others to do and make sure that we're taking our own advice. Thank you.
Harris Katsy. If I could, I would like to read a tweet that I found in Mr. Morris's Twitter account, and it says, "If you defend the Black Lives Matter riots but are condemning the riot today, you're a ridiculous hypocrite. If you condemn the Black Lives Matter riots but are defending the riot today, you're a ridiculous hypocrite. It is better not to be a ridiculous hypocrite." That he did not say those words specifically. He retweeted that. But I think that is an example of him being unbiased in his opinion. He's saying that on either side, if there is violence or if there is any negative attitudes or actions, that neither side is right for standing to create violence. So I just think that that's one example of him being a non-biased member of society personally. And I did some research as well myself and just went through his Twitter a little bit. And I saw several tweets that I felt like spoke to the value of human life. And those are just my personal opinions, but I think that that's important to note that his Twitter is not purely to one side or the other. He does mention things that are on both sides of the spectrum.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Is there any further debate?
SGA Engineering. Kind of backing up a little bit just to be super objective. In the Code of Laws, back to the Code of Laws, I know. 307.2.1, a list of nominees' qualifications and objectives for their proposed position shall be made available for the Student Senate to view at least 1 week prior to confirmation. So that might be my bad for not asking for that, but I haven't, and again, might be my bad, I haven't actually heard any of his qualifications for the position. And I feel like it might only be fair to maybe have those on the table or those be given to us at some point. Again, I'm new to this. I don't totally know how that would work. I know that probably might be a question, but I think it's important to hear those as well if we're going by the Code of Laws specifically.
Is there any further debate?
Sullivan Engineering, without calling anybody out specifically, if there was anybody present, perhaps at Senate, in the Senate that was actually part of the application process and the selection process, if you would like to provide some context as to why you guys felt that Stephen Morris was the best candidate, kind of how the process went, anything like that.
McDonald business. So I was a part of these interviews, the application process. And the way it worked is that each applicant submitted an application in which they answered a series of questions. And Stephen had pretty much the best responses to all the questions. And then from there on, I went to an interview. And throughout the interview, he was the best at all the candidates and said that is why we picked him. He listed his qualifications, he answered our questions, and we interviewed him. And he was the best candidate out of anyone there.
Thank you. Is there any further debate?
Williams, Human Sciences. Quick question. Am I allowed to yield my time to be this person and then that person, or do I have to come back up again and say?
That's a good question. I do not know if you can do more than one. I would say let's do one for right now. And Jamie, if you know that answer or could help me look it up, she can just.
Sorry, go ahead, Cole. I cut you
I was
off.
gonna say you could just type in the chat or you can speak up.
I would say my understanding of Robert's rules is any guest who wants to speak can only be sponsored by one person, and any person who wants to sponsor a guest can only do it one at a time. Because only one person can speak at a time. You can't just have a running trail of people one after the other. Cole has to call on them. So if we do need people who need a sponsor to speak up, but we would have to do it one at a time so we just don't get confused about order and whatnot.
Thank
well,
you, JP. Sorry, you can continue, Sydney. But so yeah, that'll just be one.
Okay, great. I'll start over. Williams Human Sciences. I would like to yield my time to Jordan Denson.
Hi, I apologize. I will not be able to turn my camera on tonight, but a member of this Senate gave an example of an unbiased opinion from Morris. I would like to give two counterexamples of biased opinions. And these are direct quotes that he tweeted, not retweeted, from his Twitter. For reference, just in Connecticut, 2 biological males set 17 new records competing against females. First quote. Second quote, it's worth noting that the trans athlete debate only involves trans women, in quotation marks, biological men, competing in women's sports. I wonder why we never hear debate on trans men, biological women, competing in men's sports. These are 2 specific examples of biased opinion against trans people, members of the LGBT community. I would also like to address a statement made by a member of this meeting tonight that yes, we do have free speech, but that does not necessarily mean freedom from consequence. And so we are here tonight to discuss this consequence and why Stephen Morris is not fit to be Chief Justice. Yes, we have different political beliefs, but I do not believe that these biases against specific members of this community could be classified as political. We have members of this community on Auburn's campus, and if we consider ourselves to be an Auburn family, we have to cater to everyone. And if you appoint this man as Chief Justice, that is, you're setting the precedents, since we like to use that term, we're setting the precedents that these ideas and beliefs are okay for people to hold in positions of power. You have a lot of minority people speaking here against this person. And so I would urge you to listen to these voices. That is all.
Thank you. And is there any further debate? I guess I should ask.
Sullivan, engineering. I would like to yield my time to Stephen Morse himself, if he's interested.
Hey, Graf. I'd be more than happy to speak right now, but I was thinking in the interest of time, if everyone could go ahead and get their complaints against me, go ahead and voice those, and that way I can respond to everything at once and don't have to repeat everything a bunch of times after I go ahead and speak. What do you think?
Sounds good for me.
Williams Human Sciences. I'd like to yield my time to Dion.
Hi again. So there's this conversation about not being political, right? I have my personal feelings about that or whatnot. But let's talk about poverty, right? Like just the general statement of poverty. That's a state of being sometimes. Like that's not necessarily political. Or even saying that hate speech is not violent. Wait, hate speech does not exist. The United States disagrees. You can go to jail for hate speech. It's harassment, right? Like, come on now. If he doesn't even believe that it exists, because it will be a day where someone calls me a racial slur on campus. How is this not computing? This is someone who's supposed to represent Auburn as a whole, and at least on the very basis, you can see that he cannot faithfully represent a certain, at least not even a handful, a lot of people on campus. They will not be able to back him, say that they support him. So how can you say that this person can represent me or others well and unbiasedly if we ourselves don't believe in him?
Harris, Patsy. Oh, sorry. Am I good to speak?
Yeah.
Okay. I would just like to point out that there was no mention of race in his tweet. He was responding to an article, and that's just my personal take on it. There were people of all different races that were participating in the Black Lives Matter movement.
in the protest. So there, I mean, he did not, specify a race. He didn't put a label on it. He was responding to an article that was seen. So I think that's also a good point to note.
Turnip seed at large, I would like to yield my time to Alan Lee.
Hello. So I was also on the selection board. And I won't speak anything to like what anybody posted on Twitter or any political affiliation like that. I will say though, objectively, I was one of the, I think me and Hayden had a little bit of a disagreement in terms of who was the best. I definitely thought there were other qualified candidates that could fill the role of Chief Justice in a more effective way that, kind of could have avoided any kind of controversy, I guess. I tried to be as unbiased as possible and try to be as objective as possible. There were concerns of Stephen's ability to kind of work with other people on, not only on the team, but just in SGA in general, just in terms of like being respectful or, using proper pronouns or things like that. And so, I don't know, I just kind of viewing it holistically, I saw it as more of, we have a better candidate. And I think I advised Rhett that there was, in my opinion, a better candidate, but it was ultimately his choice. So that's not to say like, Stephen is like this, whatever the heck, but I would just say that like, I think there is, I think it provide better context to say that there were better candidates, or in my opinion, better candidates holistically. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Alan. Is there any further debate?
Williams, Human Sciences. I just want to say that I am blown away by how many or really just the passion in these students' voices. I think above everything else, we have to remember that we are the Student Senate, and for students to come here and voice their concerns, which is what we've been wanting this whole entire time, I really do think that means something. Now, whether you agree with those concerns or not is up to you, but I think that students coming here tonight and being brave enough, and I really do commend them and applaud them for coming and speaking their mind and speaking their truth. I don't think we should take that for granted as senators and when you're thinking about how you're going to vote. Lost my other train of thought. But yeah, I really do applaud and commend them, and I just urge you to remember that we are the Student Senate and we are to vote in the best interest of the students.
Thank you. Is there any further debate?
DeVore Graduate School. So I just wanna
I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna pause you real fast, Elizabeth, if you can hear me. I can't. Am I the only one? Is this my Wi-Fi?
I can't hear.
Okay. If someone, Pearson, if you or Jamie could just mute her, I'm gonna let her try and gain, I'd assume, better connection would be the one I'm looking for. And she still can't hear me.
Just our last Senate meeting. Yes. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Okay, wait. Now say something again.
I turned my video off, so hopefully that might help.
Okay, that seems to have done wonders.
Yeah. Okay, great. So thank you. I just want to briefly state, so again, DeVore Graduate School, just thinking of the time so far that I've served on Senate and thinking just back to our last Senate meeting last month, I recall correctly, we unanimously voted on a resolution urging Auburn University administrators and leadership to prioritize social justice, right? Listening and doing the best to help and represent minoritized students. And as was already stated by Senator Williams, we've had a lot of minoritized students speaking here tonight. And also these issues that have been brought up and the context of it being a political difference. Just because something has been politicized doesn't make it political. These are issues of social justice because we are talking about references to Black individuals, which is a minoritized group, right? And I say not minority, but minoritized because the voice and the representation on Auburn's campus is minoritized. We're also talking about trans, which is, again, another minoritized group on Auburn's campus, LGBTQ+. Talking about issues of poverty, again, a social issue. So these are issues, but they're not just political because they are politicized. And I urge all of you to take that into consideration when thinking about this. Thank you.
Is there any further debate?
I yield my time to Stephen Morse.
Thank you, Graf. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you students and otherwise showing up tonight and voicing your concerns or support of my confirmation. I think that's what America is all about. I appreciate your free speech. And, you know, I am very happy y'all came here, and I'm happy to be here to defend myself. And thank you for yielding your time to me, Graf. And I'll just begin. I'm going to give a little statement. I think y'all have been kind of, you know, we've been debating me for about an hour, and I have a lot, obviously, to respond to in that. So if y'all will just bear with me, I'm going to try to answer a lot of these concerns y'all have been voicing as well as I can. So I know I might kind of drone on for a while, but I'm really just going to try to get to let y'all know my views and my character and my qualifications as best I can. So good evening, everyone. I'm grateful for that very high level of confidence that President Wagner and other members of the selection committee have placed in me by appointing me to the position of Chief Justice. This is an incredible honor, and I will take it with the utmost seriousness if confirmed. As Chief Justice, I will always apply the law as it is written to the facts and issues in each case. I will never, ever insert my personal opinions or beliefs into a decision. It is not my job to make the law. It is yours. I don't desire to make the law. It is solely my job to interpret it as it is written and apply it. For example, if this Senate passed a bill with which I could not disagree more, I'm really opposed to this thing. Unless the court deemed it to be unconstitutional, I promise, I pledge to you, I would faithfully apply the law as it is written to the facts and issues presented in any cases involving it. I believe in an independent judiciary. Although SGA is not and should not be a partisan organization, if any branch should be free of partisanship, it should most certainly be the judicial branch. I'm gonna say that I'm deeply troubled by that senators have been injecting their partisan political beliefs into this process and essentially imposing a political and religious litmus test on appointees. I have many fantastic ideas to improve the judicial branch. I'm just going to list a few of these out to y'all real quick. And I really, one thing I harped on in my interview and application process is, you know, I know quite a few people in the Student Government Association and just all around Auburn too, and even very seasoned members of the Student Government Association had no idea really that even that the judicial branch existed, or most certainly not what it did, or any cases that it may have recently decided. And as we all know, you know, plenty of students, they might know SGA exists, but they really have no idea what we all do. So my main goal outside of faithfully fulfilling my duties is to increase awareness of the judicial branch. And this initiative is especially designed to benefit minority students because, you know, the more we can make underrepresented and minoritized, as someone said, individuals aware of the judicial branch, which is able to hear you know, judicial violation, they can always fill out a judicial violation form. we are always more than happy to hear any cases or involving election disputes. Obviously, that goes to the e-board first, and then the losing party can appeal to us. But I look forward to hearing those cases if confirmed. I also have a plan for us to travel to Montgomery and hear a case from the Alabama Supreme Court, and of course meet those justices. I want to have local judges and attorneys speak to us. And I also want to work with one of my favorite professors, Dr. Stephen Brown, to develop our opinion writing skills, because, lots of us probably do not have the most, legal writing experience. And even if we do, always room to improve. So, and that's obviously what we're going to be doing. So I heard a bunch of people say that I'm going to be biased and, I can't, I guess, separate my views from, I guess, as the law would require. And I want to remind everyone that, again, I am just one justice on this court. There's going to be a lot of other associate justices and alternate associate justices, and I'm more than prepared to recuse myself if I believe that is prudent, due to biases that are not possible to check. Or if an organization I'm a member of were to come before the court, I'd obviously recuse myself just to prevent any conflict of interest. But I want to remind everyone that in that opinion writing process, we have to very thoroughly and systematically lay out our legal reasoning for any decision and thoroughly for any decision we may decide. So I can't just unilaterally say, well, I believe this, I think this, that be in, right? And by the way, we're all going to be voting. So what's going to happen is, y'all are going to come before the court. We're going to listen to oral arguments. We're going to hear, and I'm Chief Justice, so I'm going to, if I'm confirmed, I would make sure that everyone's voices are heard during that time, and that all of my associate justices' questions are fully answered, and that everyone has enough time to state all their concerns and get to the bottom of things. And then we will go deliberate, and then we're going to vote. So I might, those six might agree one way, and I might agree one way. And we have, different legal reasonings for our beliefs possibly, but that's perfectly fine. And they're going to be the majority. So they're going to write the majority opinion that controls. And by the way, all these opinions get published in the Plainsman. So you can critique my writing or reasoning or whatever you may desire. But because I'm going to move on now to my qualifications, there's been a lot of questions about that, and no one has, and I don't blame y'all. None of y'all know me too well. So I'm really happy to give y'all some insight on my qualifications, because that is what is important, not politics, for this role. So just to begin, I'm currently serving as the Vice President of Best Buddies, and we actually promote inclusion for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We foster friendships with these individuals all around Lee County. So I'm very inclusion minded. Now, I may disagree with some of the ideologies and stuff, but I never attack people. I only attack ideas. I don't even attack ideas. I mean, they're just my sincerely held beliefs, political, religious, or otherwise. But I'm all about trying to include people. I used to get all left out of plenty of things in middle school and high school. So I try to include, whether it's my friends or otherwise, I always try to include people as best I can. Next, I'm a member of the Honors College, where I've served as a week of service counselor and I'm now serving as a head counselor. And interestingly enough, I've heard a lot of, I've heard especially one member of this debate have a lot of concerns about my ability to relate to poverty and all of those circumstances. And I just want to say that the week of service in 2013, the Honors College adopted the theme of poverty as its official theme. And since then, we've been doing the week of service. We go all around Lee County for a whole week, and we go serve underprivileged communities during the day, weather permitting. And then at night, we go and try to educate participants on the causes, effects, and otherwise of poverty. And we'll have guest speakers, we'll have films. We actually do a privilege walk, which that's definitely not a conservative thing. And I actually drafted the questions for that this past year. Let's see. I am also a member of the Mortar Board, Cardinal Key, and Lambda Sigma. In regard to SGA, I've been in both Freshman Forum and Lobby Board. Furthermore, I've worked with Dr. Hargrave and his staff to get the university back to normalcy as soon as possible. I know we're all really looking forward to that this fall. And I was also a Be the Creed Award nominee. And I would just want to point out, I think some people have serious concerns to my views on the Black Lives Matter organization. And I just want to point out that the Auburn faculty member who nominated me for that award was Black. I've also, in regard to kind of like my more qualifications that are very like this specific to this position, and Dr. Stephen Brown's constitutional law class, I learned all about constitutional law that relates to civil rights, and we participated in moot court arguments. And I actually wrote the majority opinion on the recent Supreme Court case that a member of this debate mentioned earlier on tonight, and it was the case of Mahanoy Area High School VBL. And as a justice, you know, it was a moot court, so we all portray like a different justice. So I had to set aside my personal convictions, whatever those may be on the case, and I had to put myself in the like cloak, if you will, of one of the 9 justices on the Supreme Court and write it from their perspective, not my own. And I mean, I made a very good grade on that paper, but it was a great experience, very long opinion, but great legal writing experience. And I definitely learned a lot from that. And finally, just this past week, I completed my internship for presiding Circuit Court Judge Christopher J. Hughes at the Lee County Justice Center. So definitely learned a lot from that. He's a wonderful man, and I'd actually like him to come speak to our court this fall if I am confirmed. And even if I'm not confirmed, y'all, I hope, you know, whoever is Chief Justice or not, I hope y'all can take some of these ideas and, you know, use them to improve the judicial branch. Now, I've heard a lot said about my, you know, obviously I'm a straight white Christian male, so I know some of you probably don't like me very much just from that, but I do want to say that I have had many efforts towards diversity. So I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, by the way. I was afforded with plentiful opportunities to give to those less fortunate around me. And Memphis is a very poor city. There's lots of crime, it's, you know, but there's plenty of good things to be sure, but there's lots of opportunities to serve. So as the president of the Wilson Society, I wrote a grant proposal to send students from 2 inner city high schools, and those being almost all Black or a little bit Hispanic, but almost all Black. Those high schools were East High School and Douglas High School, and I sent them to Model United Nations and Youth and Government conferences. We were awarded a grant or totaling $9,000, and this allowed me to send 16 underprivileged African-American students, most of whom have never left the city, to Murfreesboro and Nashville, Tennessee, completely free of charge. And my colleagues and I worked very hard to prepare them for those conferences. That way they'd be all ready to go, and they performed very well, and many of them actually won awards. I also organized a partnership between my high school and an inner city Christian school whose students are almost all African-American. As a member of the National Honor Society, I tutored many middle school students after school as a high school student myself, and many of those were minority students. And then as a president of Key Club, I organized service activities as well as food and diaper drives that directly benefited the least fortunate members of our city, and most of those being African-American. I've also volunteered for a multitude of Bellevue Loves Memphis work days where we complete service projects in the inner city. Now, knowing the great importance of reading on grade level by 3rd grade, and I can go into a little detail of that because I know some of y'all object to my perceived views on poverty. I've also volunteered with Arise to Read. So this organization really tries to get students reading on grade level by 3rd grade. They've made incredible gains. I'll just, if y'all give me a second. In 2018 to 2019, students gained 3 grade levels of growth. Students who are not on reading level by 3rd grade have sorry, I misspoke. 39% of Memphis children live in poverty and are on average 3 grade levels behind their more affluent peers. And lots of those children are African-American. 66% of students not reading on grade level by 4th grade will likely be in jail or on welfare at some point in their lives. And 61% of low-income students have no books in the home. So this organization has made incredible gains, and we actually showed a video of the founder of that organization during the week of service, which again, I'm in charge of, and we're all focused on alleviating and educating people in poverty, which I was able to learn a ton about my freshman year, and that was a great experience for me, and we're looking forward to that again this August. And then, so now I'm going to transition to Auburn University. So at Auburn University, we're still talking about my efforts for diversity and inclusion and all that. I've repeatedly offered to tutor a struggling African-American student and any of her friends at Locapoca High School and ACT Prep completely free of charge. I've also worked closely with the Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals to create an extremely successful and very diverse Auburn Aviation alumni panel which attracted well over 100 attendees. I've completed EverFi's diversity, equity, and belonging module. I support our brave law enforcement officers whose efforts, some of you may disagree with this, but in reality, they do save numerous Black lives. And I know some of you are going to agree with this too, but again, it's just my personal religious and political beliefs. I strongly oppose abortion, and that tragically takes countless Black lives. And I just want to ask y'all, I've listed a ton of different things I've done to help minority students and communities during my lifetime so far. And I just really don't think that all of these actions, they definitely speak louder than words. And I know a lot of you don't know me, but I hope that evidence kind of shows y'all how committed to diversity and inclusion I am, especially like in regard to poverty. I heard that mentioned a lot. Let's see. And of course, if y'all are more than welcome to go through my 2,000 plus tweets as Senator Belser did, but some of them are wonderful tweets. Saying Black fathers matter. Surely none of you disagree with that statement. And another saying it won't be black versus white in heaven, and it doesn't have to be here either. Each of us was intricately created by God. So as my actions have repeatedly demonstrated, I'm really I try to be non-biased, try to help everyone out, love others. I know Black Lives Matter and critical race theory and all of those ideologies are very interested, and people have mentioned today about intersectionality and group identity. And obviously critical race theory teaches one of the core tenets is, there's oppressors and the oppressed. And I don't see it that way. I define everyone by the content of their character, not the color of their skin or their income level or what may have you. And I find my identity in Christ, and I believe that my Christian beliefs and the Christian doctrine do indeed promote the absolute highest level attainable of human flourishing. Now, y'all are more than welcome to disagree with that, and I'm not here to get in a political debate with you, but I just want to kind of answer some of your concerns. And I totally, free speech doesn't mean anything if you don't defend the speech you hate. So I defend all of y'all's rights to criticize me and attack me and totally disagree with me. I support you all day. I also want to talk about my non-bias a little bit. I've heard a lot of concerns about my perceived inability to check my bias at the courtroom door when I put on my robe as a justice. And I'll bring up one recent example, and then I'll talk a little bit about one other real quick. But when we're selecting counselors for the week of service, so I was a head counselor, so we're selecting other counselors, After that process had concluded, the selection process was over, and an Honors College staff member approached me and my two other head counselors and encouraged us to reconsider selecting a female applicant, even though the staffer conceded that her responses were almost identical to that of a male candidate whom we had also cut. I immediately refused this outrageous proposal and made it very clear that I would never tolerate any sex-based discrimination or any other form of discrimination as a leader in the week of service. And then furthermore, to demonstrate my kindness and non-bias, despite the fact that Senator Belser and I agree on essentially
Point of order, excuse me, point of order. Can the candidate not refer to me at all, ever, because I haven't done so. So I ask for that same respect.
I do not know what to say in this moment, but I would let just Stephen continue, I guess.
Okay. I would just like to express my discontent. Thank you.
Okay. I apologize, sir. Anyways, to demonstrate my kindness and non-bias, despite the fact that one senator and I disagree on essentially everything politically, I have always been nothing but nice to one of you who is criticizing me tonight. Even though I do not consider us to be friends, I've given him a ride to a party and helped him hang one of his large abstract paintings, complimenting him profusely on his impressive work as well as other accomplishments. I also spent over an hour with him one-on-one in his apartment, intently listening to him speak about his political theories, just history. Yes, he's very intelligent, has a lot of knowledge, and his future aspirations. And there were no arguments, insults, or otherwise. If you all talk to people who actually know me one-on-one, and people will just tell you I'm very, very, very nice. I've never uttered a single derogatory word to this individual nor any other student on this campus. Cole, you want me to keep going, or do we need to take a little break, or does anyone else need to say anything, or
well, so I'd like to, I guess, just point out logically, since you are speaking, you can continue. But I do believe if you were to end and another senator were to interject, then you would no longer have your speaking turn. So you may continue, and at the point that you would like to end, we'll just have to move into the next point of debate.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry to like keep continuing, but I just want to, get all these matters squared away. I hope y'all are paying attention because these are very serious charges I've been, accused of, and I want to just defend my honor and defend my character and principles and my ability to do my job. So I'll just, I think I'll just kind of right now, I'll go ahead and address some of the comments that were directly made during debate. Let's see, there was quite a few of them. So if you'll just give me a moment. Okay, so one of the first comments that was made was about poverty, and this individual cited a tweet that I had stated that said, in effect that, there's 3 steps that individuals can take to avoid, like 3 steps that regardless of, government or in any other circumstances, you as an individual can take make these 3 steps, decisions to the extent possible, of course, and that if you do all 3 of these things, only 2% are in poverty and 75% have joined the middle class. And this comes from a study, very well-known study from the Brookings Institute, who's certainly not a conservative think tank. And these 3 steps are as follows: at least finish high school. 2, get a full-time job. 3, wait until 21 to get married and have children. I was simply citing an academic study, and it's true factual information from a liberal think tank. I don't quite see the problem with that. It's factual and it's good advice to anyone if they want to obviously join the middle class or not be in poverty. Now, of course, there's plenty of other external factors, and I'm not recommending that everyone has to do this or anything. But and it's just I just talking about poverty, which seems to be something that I know a fair amount about, being from Memphis and serving on the week of service for going on my 3rd year right now. Now, next, I want to talk about hate speech. That's been brought up quite a bit. And people have said that because I don't understand this topic or know much about it, I'm unfit to serve as Chief Justice. So under the Constitution, there's no exception for hate speech. And I'll read y'all a few things just real quick to clarify this. So the First Amendment has been held to allow you to wear a jacket to say "fuck the draft," excuse my language, in a public hearing, and that's Cohen versus California. You can also yell, "We're taking the effing street later" during a protest. You can burn the American flag in protest. That's Texas v. Johnson and United States v. Eichmann. You can give a racially charged speech to a restless crowd and sorry, I'm going to try to pronounce that one. And you can even call for the overthrow of the United States government, Brandenburg versus Ohio. And surely none of my speech has come to that level, certainly. And then in Texas versus Johnson, the Supreme Court stated that the general rule regarding protected speech, when it held, the government may not prohibit the verbal or nonverbal expression of an idea merely because society finds the idea offensive or disagreeable, which obviously many of you have found my tweets and statements and whatnot offensive and disagreeable. And I welcome that. I enjoy, if any place or location should be the place for robust debate on the hot button political topics of our day, it should be a taxpayer-funded public 4-year or 2-year university. There's no better place to discuss these ideas civilly and respectfully. Let's see, federal courts have consistently followed this holding when applying the First Amendment to public universities, and have consistently used this principle in striking down college speech codes that regulate dissenting, offensive, or unpopular language, which I can tell that my language is very unpopular. Now, next, I'm sorry to keep going, y'all, but I just want to, y'all express your concerns to your fellow senators and myself, and I just want to address those concerns, and it may take a while, but I just hope you'll bear with me and respect me for answering your concerns. So I hope you're just kind of paying attention. Let's see. And let's see. Sorry, I have lots of notes. Okay, I also heard of some tweets mentioned that some people took exception to about abortion, that saying that I'm going to cancel the Bible, of course, poverty, something about the society's level of outrage. And I remember these, but like saying that, and I can't look at them directly right now, but something to the effect that this the level of outrage, the society's level of outrage at a particular violent crime, if it's determined more or less like higher or lower based on the skin color of the individual who committed the crime. I said, I don't think that's a very healthy society. You know, I don't want people to pay attention to skin color. You know, we're all just one race, the human race. Let's see. But and then regard to abortion, that's definitely what the vast majority of my tweets about. If y'all go stalk my Twitter right now, almost all of them are about abortion. That's definitely a very sincerely held religious belief for me. And then they're going to cancel the Bible. Well, that's very interesting. I understand. Maybe it won't happen. I mean, that's just speculation on the future. I don't know unless you're up. I just don't even really quite know what to say that one, to be honest with you. Let's see. Just sorry, I just took a lot of notes. Okay, I also heard a lot about my views on transgenderism or transgender individuals, or however you want to phrase that. First and foremost, I've had classes with transgender individuals, and I've never referred to anyone by the incorrect pronouns, nor would I ever want to do so or like try to do so. Obviously, I want to respect everyone to the best of my ability. And I think obviously what I would personally do, just simply because I believe that God created us all male and female and consistent with the scriptures, I just prefer to people by their name. Now, whether like if I tell you all my name's Stephen, but then tomorrow I'm like, oh, I'm a trans woman, I go by Stephanie, you know, I would just call me Stephanie, and I would do that the same for any of you. Now, and then I heard a lot more said about hate speech, but I think we've already explored that enough. But I do want to comment on the transgender thing. I mean, I believe my sincerely held religious belief is that there are only, God created us either male or female. I believe in human biology. I believe in science. I think it's pretty straightforward to me. I heard one tweet brought up about just transgender men. Sorry, I get confused sometimes. Basically like, I don't want to like offend anyone. I'm trying, sorry, it just gets confusing sometimes, but trans women competing in women's sports. So, and there's a lot of, this is a very hot button current political issue that should be discussed in robust debate on college campuses. I mean, Alabama recently passed a bill banning basically they assigned sports in our state by according to the sex assigned on anyone's birth certificate. And so that's very recent, obviously a hot button political issue. You all would not be, you know, expressing your discontent with my statements if they were not hot button political issues. And of course, there's been a lot of brought up in Connecticut about that. And I understand your all's, you know, concerns about my views on transgender individuals, but there's just simply facts, such as in 2018 in the United States, 400 United States high school boys could beat Allison Felix's, who's the best female sprinter in the world. They 400 just United boys in the United States that are in high school could beat her 400-meter dash time. And I mean, I do not want to ban transgender people from sports. And then again, I'm not here to get in the political debate with you all, but I just want to ensure fairness. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like I would be advocating fairness for women, and consistent with Title IX and all that. But again, I'm very glad. Thank you all for coming out and expressing your concerns with me. I do want to bring up a few more things, and people are saying that I cannot relate to poverty. Well, you know, obviously I've done a lot with the week of service, and I've done a lot in the city of Memphis to alleviate poverty. But like, I mean, my grandmother, let's see, I don't want to get the number wrong that I wrote down, but sorry, I have the wrong page.
Thank you, Stephen. And so I will ask, can I guess ask, are you done now? Was that the conclusion?
Not quite. I'm going to cite, since y'all cited a few Supreme Court cases and such, I was going to cite a few of those and then give a closing. Is that all right? All right.
Yeah, that's that's
okay.
fine.
Right. Okay. So I want to, I guess, clear something up. So there is certain speech that is unprotected, and then there is speech that is protected. So the only categories of unprotected speech are, and of course, generally, and as stated by the Supreme Court, are as follows: incitement, true threats, fighting words, obscenity, defamation, harassment, heckler's veto. As far as I am aware, and I hope each of you are aware, none of my speech falls into these aforementioned unprotected categories. And thus, as much as you may hate my speech, and I'll remind each of you senators, under this Supreme Court, 11th Circuit court case of Alabama Student Party v. Student Government Association of the University of Alabama, 1989. John Merrill was the president of the Student Government Association of Alabama then. The 11th Circuit noted that the government was that the student government was a state actor subject to the same constitutional restrictions as the university itself. So each of you tonight in your official capacities as officers of this Senate, as the duly elected senators of the student body, it is your duty to protect my constitutional right to free speech, freedom of religion, and whatnot. And of course, we mentioned Mahanoy Area District BL, but I also want to bring up the Form Act. So this was passed in, I believe, 2017, and I was just going to read a few portions from it. It's Alabama state law signed into law by Governor Ivey. It says the United States Supreme Court has warned that if state-sponsored institutions of higher education stifle student speech and prevent the open exchange of ideas on our campus, our civilization will stagnate and die. And that's Sweezy v. New Hampshire, 1957. It goes on to say that each public institution of higher education should ensure free, robust, and uninhibited debate and deliberation by students. And then it also says that it is not the proper role of the institution, which that includes the Student Government Association, to shield individuals from speech protected by the First Amendment to the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution of Alabama of 1901, including without limitation ideas and opinions they find unwelcome, disagreeable, or offensive, as you have clearly found mine tonight. Finally, I want to bring up this is my last case, but it's Denton v. Thrasher, and it's actually, Tyler Ward. I respect him quite a bit. Obviously, you all have done your research. He was very wise, in my opinion, to warn you all that through this precedent. Now, this was a case stemming from Florida State University, and Florida is also in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals with Alabama. Essentially, and it's obviously much more complicated, but basically these Florida State University SGA senators recently impeached my friend, Mr. Denton, who he had been duly elected president of the Student Senate, for his comments that were critical about Black Lives Matter, the ACLU, and reclaimed the block. And then these comments were about, transgender individuals, abortion, Black Lives Matter, the organization, such as that. After repeated efforts to resolve the matter internally, Denton filed suit in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Florida, and a preliminary injunction was issued for Denton. And of course, that does not mean that Denton won outright. Obviously, that just means, and I'm not a legal scholar, I'm not a law student, but to the best of my understanding, that just means that the judge found that he was likely to prevail on the merits. And then there's a bunch of standards you have to meet, that you'll suffer irreparable harm, I believe, by the injunction not being issued. But in the end, Florida State University ultimately settled with Denton for $10,000, reimbursed his salary, and paid his attorneys $83,950. And furthermore, the Student Supreme Court also ruled in his favor and ordered that he be immediately reinstated to his position. And since y'all brought up the Code of Laws a lot, I just wanted to harp on two quick things real quick. So the SGA, in the Code of Laws, y'all have an anti-discrimination policy. This is found in Chapter 1500 of the Code of Laws, Title XV. And then also Auburn University has a policy against discrimination and harassment. So I'm just going to read real quick from these two, just so you can understand. I've heard a lot of people say that I'm discriminating and I'm discriminatory and whatnot. And I just want to defend myself with these university approved definitions. So according to the SGA Code of Laws at 1500.1 says that SGA shall comply with all Auburn University regulations regarding unlawful discrimination against or harassment of students. Now I'm going to cut real quick to the Auburn University policy against discrimination, since that's what it referenced. And I'm just going to read the quick definition for discrimination. It says, Discrimination is conduct directed at a specific individual or group of identifiable individuals that subjects the individual or group to treatment that adversely affects their education or employment because of their protected status. Now I'm going to cut back up to 1500.2. So it says, and this is the SGA Code of Laws, by the way. In addition to complying with Auburn University policies, SGA shall not discriminate on the basis of race, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, national origin, age, disability, veteran status, marital status, religion, ideological or political persuasion, or any combination of the aforementioned classes. And I, of course, added emphasis on those last two categories because as I am simply, at this moment in time, I am simply a normal student of Auburn University. I am technically a member of the Student Government Association, as all students are upon their enrollment in Auburn University, as best as I understand it. But I have no official position at the Student Government Association. And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, but I kind of believe that you all are discriminating against my sincerely held political and religious views. And I mean, and you've clearly expressed as much tonight by reading your tweets and stating your opposition to my political tweets. And by the way, Twitter is a perfect platform for debate. And if I'm more than happy to debate any of these issues with you all respectfully. Obviously, this is not neither the time nor place for that. But I'm more than happy to debate any of these issues with you. But I just wanted to point out my question to these people who say that I'm discriminating. I don't understand who, I would ask who, like which specific individual or group of identifiable individuals that are students at Auburn University. Who am I discriminating against? Obviously that implies you need an action. And what did I do to affect the education or employment of these individuals? So that's what constitutes discrimination according to Auburn University. While I've never discriminated against anyone, there's been no discrimination. I've never been talked to about discriminating against anyone. And in fact, as I've stated before you tonight, I've stopped a case of discrimination from an actual Auburn University Honors College employee who's trying to get me to, do some sex discrimination. Now, I'll just move into closing real quick. And if anyone else has anything to say to my comments or just any other debate, I would love to have the opportunity to address those at a later time tonight. And I sincerely thank those of you who are against me and for me. Thank you for coming and expressing your views and opinions of me tonight. I don't take it personally. It is completely your right. And I'm very proud of you all for engaging in this process. So I'm just going to read my closing real quick, and then we can go about my business. And at that point, I'll yield back to Senator Sullivan. So through my testimony today, I hope you have been able to objectively evaluate my qualifications for this position, which are very important, as well as my character. I have never discriminated against anyone, and on the contrary, I have repeatedly worked to benefit minority communities. Please remember that it is your duty in this moment to protect my constitutional rights. Note the mission of SGA: to serve, promote, and unify all that is Auburn. These attacks against me are antithetical to the mission of SGA and the Auburn Creed. Again, I warn you in all caps that voting down my confirmation tonight sets an extremely dangerous precedent. And I ask you all to imagine just real quick, just say the tables are turned, right? So say you have a nominee before you, say it's a he, she, they, them for that matter. Say they've said I don't know, just some horrible things that some maybe conservative or Christian senators find deeply troubling and offensive. And maybe he or she or they want to abolish ICE, or they say all cops are bastards, or all cops should be executed. Just these terrible things. I would support that individual's right to, be appointed to the court if he or she was indeed qualified, as I believe that I am, because I defend speech even that I hate, and I believe that more speech is the answer, not less. So I just want you all to think, those of you who are opposed to my nomination, just respectfully, I'd ask that you consider how it would be to set that precedent. And basically, if you all vote me down tonight, you would green light a Senate to in my estimation, discriminate against a nominee for holding like woke political views, if you will, or very left political views, if you will. Okay, I'm gonna hop back on my closing. Sorry, I got sidetracked, but I did need to really mention that. While some may cower in fear at such a time as this, I am proud to defend my honor before you today, knowing that I speak for thousands of Auburn students, many of whom are my closest friends, some of them are on the call tonight, who believe just as I do. However, unlike me, they are absolutely terrified to speak openly about their beliefs precisely because of something exactly like this happening to them. I do not and will not apologize for having political and religious views with which you disagree, and especially not for having the bravery to share them, as is undeniably my right. And by the same token, I would never expect or ask any of you to apologize for your sincerely held beliefs with which I may deeply disagree or find extremely offensive, bearing in mind that intellectual diversity should be the result and primary goal of a diverse group of individuals, excuse me. And my views, definitely, I mean, I know they're very offensive to some of you, but they're very mainstream, Christian, conservative, Judeo-Christian value views. And obviously, whether you like it or not, a considerable portion of the Auburn University student body agrees with me. And at least, I mean, we're talking like I would say at the very minimum, 10%. Now, of course, I don't have any evidence to back this up. But I assume, maybe the Black Student Union spectrum has maybe let you all know of that plenty of Auburn students definitely share these views. And I would ask you, are you prepared today to say that these individuals just not need apply for any SGA positions? Are they really unfit to serve as in any leadership capacity in the Student Government Association, and as has been accused of me today? And despite your repeated attempts to cancel me, you do not scare me. With the Lord's help, I will continue to achieve great things regardless of the outcome of this vote today. And finally, I will never back down, knowing that I answer to my God alone. And thank you all for your time tonight. And I really appreciate everyone treating me and each other with respect. And Senator Sullivan, I yield back.
Thank you, Stephen. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Brandon. I will now call on a senator with their hand raised, being Mr. Brandon Belser.
Belser Liberal Arts, I'll be very brief, folks. I know we're trying to get on our show on the road. I would first like to acknowledge the fact that the candidate did not once acknowledge that they have referred to people as inhumane animals. The Code of Student Conduct, Auburn's Code of Student Conduct, Article 4, Section A, subsection 9 says that conduct that is disorderly, lewd, or indecent, breach of peace, or aiding, abetting, or procuring another person to breach the peace is prohibited. So I will remind that is in the same code as well. I would also like to remind the candidate that they do not have the authority in this body, the elected body, to decide when they get to respond or when how we should conduct our meeting. So I would also remind you of that. We have order here, and we do it the way that Auburn SGA would do it. As well, with that, I would like to yield my time to Ms. Molly Boudreau, EVP of Outreach.
Thank you, Senator Belser. I kind of want to take a minute to bring us all back to the point of this debate and this discussion. I think we're all on the same page at this debate. I think our intention was to stay away from political ideology and religion and more focus on, as the candidate put it, objectively evaluating qualifications. So I think it's dangerous to say things that because you're a white Christian male, people might not like you. I think bringing things like that, once they're said, they can't be unsaid. And to have that be kind of the basis behind an argument doesn't have a lot of substance in it. I also think if we're talking about qualifications, I would caution you all to, like he said, think objectively about qualifications. And, being awarded something from a man who is Black is not a qualification. Having worked in the past with an organization that works for inclusiveness and with people who have intellectual disabilities does not make you inclusive as a whole. Working with one marginalized population does not mean that you are effectively able to advocate for all marginalized populations. Who we were friends with does not mean if you have friends who are people of color, if you have friends who have disabilities, that does not mean that you have necessarily, that doesn't give you, you know, the ability to perform in this role. That's great if that's something that happens to you, but that's not a qualification for performing in this role. Not speaking derogatory words to people, that was something that was mentioned, that they spent, you know, hours with someone and did not speak one derogatory word. That is also not a qualification. And y'all's job tonight is not to decide if his tweets are constitutional. That is not your job. Your job is to serve as a student senate and to decide as a senate if you have the confidence in this person to serve in this role as stated in the code of laws and just the outline of the role in general. So that is what your purpose is tonight. You are not, your job is not to decide, you're not the Supreme Court. Like, your job is not to decide what free speech is and what's hate speech and what is constitutional. That is not your job. I also think it is unfair. I don't think any of you guys should be worried about any ultimatums that were given. Deciding yes or no on this person does not mean that you are, you know, as long as you guys are taking this, like we talked about, objectively, deciding no on this person does not mean that you are going to be, you know, put into a lawsuit and decided that like you are discriminating against someone. Your job tonight, as long as you follow your job, is thinking objectively about if this person is qualified to do this job. You are not, to my knowledge, violating that. And so I hope that, you know, y'all aren't afraid to go in and think about this objectively and look at the qualifications and look at this person as a whole and decide if this person can serve as Chief Justice, because that is what y'all are expected to do tonight, and you guys are so capable to do that. And whatever your decision is, make sure that it's a decision that you are confident in and you aren't letting people scare you into voting a certain way, and you aren't letting the kind of things that were said that shouldn't have been said during this meeting that weren't quite as objective, you aren't letting those cloud your judgment. And that's all I have to say. I'll yield back to Senator Belser.
Thank you so much, Mr. Drew. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Belser. And so I see the next senator that had their hand raised was Ms. Turnipseed.
I move to end the debate on this bill.
Second.
A second
sorry.
has been,
Second.
okay, I heard quite a few seconds, it sounds like. And so we will now move into a vote on whether to end the debate. So I'm now going to ask all those in favor of ending the debate, please say aye and comment yes. All of those.
Aye.
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 All of those opposed, please say no and comment no. Okay, Jet Davis says that the yeses have it. And therefore,
So
if I'm correct, yeah, wait, Graf, before we go, Mr. Belser, had you just began, yeah. So debate just ended. Yeah, debate just ended. So
Yeah,
I now
that's
believe
correct.
we have to move into a vote.
I have to make a motion.
Yes, sir, we do. I apologize.
Just real quick, wanted to thank everybody for a great debate. Wanted to remind everybody that I do believe that everyone coming to this table had the best interest of SGA at heart. Did not want to offend anybody. If anything that was said that could be misinterpreted is misinterpreted, I ask that you judge a person on their character and not, you know, potentially a word that slipped up. Thank you for remaining respectful on this bill. And with that, I move to pass this bill as written.
So a movement has been, or a motion, I guess, has been made. Are there any seconds?
Second.
All right. It is seconded. We will now move into a vote. All those in favor of passing this bill as written, please say aye and comment. Passing this bill as written, please say aye and comment yes. All of those opposed, please say no and comment. Well, no. Yeah.
Aye.
No.
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 Aye.
No.
Aye.
No.
No.
All right, wait. I hear people talking in the back. I need no one to speak, and I need only Jet to message me privately what the results are. And please, if you've already commented, do not comment twice. I'm looking through the chat, and I expect Jet is as well. The noes have it, and this bill will not pass. We will now move into PSSB 21071202, written by Ashton Dickinson, and this is for the clarification of escorts in 1009.2.
Dickinson Business. I ask for approval of the following. 1009.2.1. A candidate may be accompanied by no more than 5 Auburn University students who serve as escorts to attend meetings and other scheduled visits with them throughout the campaign period. 1009.2.2. Individuals present at the scheduled meeting who are members of the organization and choose to speak on behalf of the candidate are not considered escorts.
Thank you. So I will now ask, is there any questions?
One question, Sullivan Engineering, one question. So I understand from my understanding, this 109.2.2 was added for clarification as to like specify whether people that were part of an organization count as escorts or not, because in the past there wasn't any clear direction. Did y'all go with saying that they do not count because that was kind of the precedent, or how was that decision made?
We went with saying that they do not count, because if I'm a part of an organization and I want to speak behalf on a candidate and I'm at that meeting, I do not count as a part of that 5.
Are there any more questions? Seeing that there are no more questions, we will move into a debate. Is there any debate on this bill? Seeing that there is no debate, Ashton, you may now motion to pass this.
I motion to pass this bill as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
All of those in favor, please say aye and comment yes. All of those opposed, please say no and comment no.
Aye.
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 The yeses have it, and this bill is passed as written. We will now move into the next current order of business, being PSSB 21071203, presented by Ashton Dickinson for the clarification for use of banners and billboards.
I ask for approval of the following. 1009.1.10.10. No banner shall be allowed for any campaigning purposes unless sponsored by the Student Government Association. Do I have to?
No, you're good. That's my bad. I didn't unmute myself fast enough. Are there any questions? All right, seeing that there are no questions, we will move into a debate. Would you like to provide context, Ashton, as the first point of debate?
Well, banners aren't allowed unless sponsored by SGA.
I got you.
Point of order. That's not the complete bill. Belser liberal arts. If you scroll to the
Oh,
bottom.
thank you, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. 1009.1.11.7. Billboards must be freestanding and not affixed or tied to any part of the property.
Thank you, Brandon. Are there any further questions? I guess that was a question, yeah. And then we'll go to debate. All right, seeing no more questions, we'll now move to debate. Oh, wait, that was debate. That was the first point of his debate, and then he provided context. Okay, got it. Thank you. Never mind. Then I'll ask, is there any further debate? All right, seeing that there's no further debate, we will vote. All of those in favor of passing this bill as written, please say aye and comment yes. All of those opposed, please say no and comment no.
Aye.
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 All right, Jet says that the yeses have it, and therefore this bill is passed as written. We will now move into PSSB 21071204, presented by Ashton Dickinson for the clarification of campaign staff guidelines.
I ask for approval of the following. 1009.7.4. A student acting as campaign staff on a major candidate's campaign shall only be allowed to serve on one major candidate's campaign staff for each elected position. unless otherwise approved by each major candidate and campaign manager for which the student is working. 1009.7.5, any student acting on top 5 or as a campaign manager for a major candidate's campaign cannot endorse any other major candidates or serve on another campaign.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, seeing that there are no questions, we will move to debate. Mr. Dickinson, would you like to provide the first point of context?
With this, it's just saying that if you're on a campaign staff, you should only serve on one major candidate's campaign staff. In 1009.7.5, if you're on top 5 or CM, you cannot endorse any other major candidates or serve on another campaign. Did I cut out? I'm
It
Cole. I
looks
think
like
it froze.
Sullivan Engineering. It looks like Cole cut out, which
That's fine. Graf, go ahead and just fill in for a second.
yeah. So are there any other points of debate? Seeing none, is there a motion, Ashton? Senator Dickinson.
I motion to pass this bill as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
The bill has been motioned and seconded. We will now move to debate. All those in favor, please say aye and comment yes in the chat.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no and comment no in the chat. The yeses have it. This bill is adopted.
I would like to apologize because I do believe that my computer is not fond of the amount of time it's been running Zoom. And so I do not know what occurred, but Graf, I will let you play out whatever you were doing, and then I will chime in. Apologies to everyone.
Sullivan Engineering, we made it to the next bill. We're good. So 05.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Who's ever reading this can begin.
Sorry, McDonald business. My apologies. My mouse got stuck. All right. Ask for approval of the following. Chapter 500, Organization of Schools Council. Can you scroll back up, please, Cole? I'm sorry. All right. Each undergraduate and professional school, college/school under the direction of the school/dean shall form a school council composed of a president, vice president, and senators elected in general elections. Representatives and members of each school council may be chosen at the discretion of each school as defined in their respective constitutions. Each president and vice president will only be selected through elections in the spring elections. No method other than those specified in the Code of Laws. Never mind. There's no content change. So yeah, you can just scroll through. Sorry. Yeah, once again, this is the reorganization of Schools Council. After meeting with the executive director of Schools Council, we thought that these changes were fit to be made to reorganize and change the order to make it more appropriate.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Hayden? All right, seeing that there are no questions, we will now move into a debate. I mean, no, wait. Yes, wait. Yes, right? Yeah. We will now move into a debate. All of those in favor, I mean, what am I saying? I'm so sorry. We will now move into debate. You have the first point of reference if you'd like it, Hayden.
Yeah, once again, sorry about that McDonald business. I'm so sorry, guys. Sorry about that mess up. Once again, this is just the reorganization of a schools council based on the talks with Kyla and the executive Executive Director of Schools Council. And I move to pass this bill as written.
Second.
Thank you. All right, all of those in favor of passing this bill as written, please say aye and comment yes. All of those opposed, please say no and comment no.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Jett, it looks like we do have the ayes have it, and we will move on. I believe this was the current, yes, this was the future order that I believe was moved to a current order. If I said current and current, I meant future and current. So yes, this would be, I guess, technically PSSB 210712. Oh, was it 5 or 6? One of those numbers. And this is presented by, I actually can't see. There we go. Miss Kyla Mathner, who is not here. And so I forget who's.
I'll do it. Turnip presenting this bill on behalf of Senator Mathner. She cannot be here tonight, but this is, do I read this entirely?
No, I would just explain what it's basically saying.
Okay, so basically the code of laws, we have in within a begins, and so get it down for school starts. Basically, this is just the timeline.
Am I the only one it's cutting out for? Okay. And that, okay. So in that, Coleman, I think you might be cutting out.
Sullivan, engineering. Since Coleman, Senator,
I'm gonna go work.
Just continue on, Graf.
Yes, I'll provide some context for. So every year, the Student Senate is responsible for passing the elections timeline. It must be passed 30 days before the first event on the timeline, which, as you can see, would be August 25th. So if we were to wait till school start for the next Senate meeting, we would not have time. Pretty much, it's pretty standard with homecoming. It does adopt the new timeline with preliminary campaigning and formal campaigning being a little bit different this year, but the same standard. Starts on Monday, voting day on Friday, homecoming is announced at the game. They, Mary Kate, the executive director of elections, pretty much just followed the same format and timeline they've been following in years past, kind of same rough days in which everything happens.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions? All right, seeing no questions, we will move into a debate. I believe that basically was the first point of debate. So is there any further debate? All right, seeing no further debate, we will move into a vote. All of those in favor of passing this bill as written, please say aye and comment yes. All of those opposed, please say no and comment no.
Aye.
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 The yeses have it according to Jett, and therefore this bill will be passed as written. And so if I am incorrect, or maybe not incorrect, I think I am correct. I believe that concludes our future orders this evening. And Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong. Yep, it has. And so I just want to say I am wholeheartedly proud of the level of professionalism that everyone dealt and carried themselves with tonight. Seriously, Robert's rules were followed to an extraordinary point. All of you, I thought, conducted yourselves very professionally. I am just very proud of what I've seen tonight. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here. This is our last summer Senate. And so I do think there are a few more points that we have for the floor this evening, but I guess I will just hand it over to Jamie now for a little bit.
Are we on announcements or am I?
I think we have future orders, do we not?
Oh, wait, I thought that
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, because that future order was moved to a current. So I do believe I'm in the announcements tab. And so I'm wondering about a certain piece of legislation and what is going to happen.
Would you like to yield your time?
Oh my gosh, I forgot what I was supposed to do. All right, you guys. That's a goof on me. I would like to yield my time to, I forget who I'm supposed to yield it to, but is it Graf? Is it you? It's Graf. I would like to yield part of my announcement time to Graf.
Sullivan Engineering. Sorry guys, I know this is going late. With all of the great things that have been happening tonight and all of the great debate, we have failed to mention one very important topic about tonight. This will be Pearson Brown's last Senate as an SGA advisor at Auburn University, which is very sad to say. However, with that, I would like to suspend the rules of order and add a bill to the agenda titled Commendation for Pearson Brown.
Okay, a motion has been made to suspend the rules of order and add a piece of legislation. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All of those in favor, please say aye. If any of you type no, after what I've been through this
Aye.
evening,
Aye.
it won't be a funny joke anymore. It's really not. Thank you so much. And with that, I do believe it is added. Jamie, if you'd throw that on the screen for everyone.
I would love to. My share screen has been disabled. If someone wants
Oh, I didn't do it. I'll
I
put it
don't know
back
who did
on.
it. Someone did it.
Okay, here we go.
Yep, give me 2 seconds. Here we go.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so we have PSSC, I guess it would be 21071201. It'd be PSSC. I did that with my eyes closed. And it's presented by Graf Sullivan for the commendation for Pearson Brown.
Sullivan Engineering, Commendation for Pearson Brown. Whereas Pearson Brown has served the Auburn University student body, directly serving more than 400 students as the coordinator of student governments, advising the Student Government Association for 3 full years. And whereas Pearson has held the mentality, you can't serve people unless you know who they are, and spent countless hours investing in student lives outside of their organization. And whereas Pearson served Auburn students beyond his immediate role in student involvement by serving as the NODA intern with Camp War Eagle, a first-year seminar course instructor, an alternate student breaks trip leader, member of Student Affairs Assessment Team, Title IX process advisor, and as a member of many university committees and volunteer teams. And whereas Pearson contributed an average of 115 hours of overtime per semester as part of his dedication to supporting students. And whereas Pearson Brown made it a weekly priority to educate students to become stronger leaders through efforts such as his advisor's 3 points, countless scheduled and unscheduled one-on-one meetings in his office, and other educational moments. And whereas Pearson advised students in coordinating and improving a wide variety of successful events, programs, and initiatives, including Heyday, Up All Night, Learning to Lobby Day, Safety Walks, Town Halls, Freshman Forum, Auburn Answers, and more. And whereas Pearson was instrumental in assisting student senators to revise and maintain the Code of Laws, fulfill weekly Senate processes, and more. And whereas Pearson authored, delivered, and continually enhanced an onboarding curriculum and series of assessments to guide SGA students in their personal and organizational development. And whereas Pearson successfully guided SGA students to break a Tiger Giving Day record with more than 800 donors contributing more than $51,000 to implement a sexual assault nurse examiner service at Auburn. And whereas Pearson guided students in restructuring SGA's outreach branch by improving its benchmarking, research, and feedback capacities to enhance the organization's advocacy and elevate its voice. Therefore, we, the Auburn University Student Senate, wish to commend Pearson Brown for continually going above the call of duty to ensure SGA and its student leaders strive to reach their full potential. And therefore, we, the Auburn University Student Senate, wish to commend Pearson Brown for being a kind, thoughtful, and passionate mentor and friend to all the student leaders lucky enough to have known him during his time at Auburn University.
Why, thank you so much, Graf, for reading that. And so I will ask if there are any questions, but I probably should ask if there are any snaps. I saw Molly give some, so I appreciate it. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's roaring. The sound is deafening. And so from there, I do believe we will move into a vote. All of those in favor of passing this commendation as written, please say aye and comment yes.
Aye.
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 Jen, I don't think you need to total those for me. And this commendation will be passed as written. Thank you so much, Pearson. And that now will finally conclude, I believe, all of the orders for this evening. First time I ever, I think, did anything with SGA was when I was elected to be a part of schools council as a freshman. And Pearson was like my go-to person. I think by like, not that I went a bunch, I honestly probably should have gone a lot more, but that he was like who I was supposed to contact. And so he has been nothing but a kind, welcoming, helpful face. I think you're very wise, Pearson, and I have been very lucky to have you guide me through beginning to lead the Senate. And I attribute the success of what we saw tonight and hopefully the success that we can display the rest of the year to your tutorship and mentorship. And I just want to say that I really do appreciate you. And with that, I believe I have nothing else to say. Jamie, if you have any announcements, you're more than welcome to say any.
My gosh, I don't know how to follow that. I will say very proud of you all for tonight. Pearson, we're gonna miss you like crazy. I think I hope this commendation and all the memories and more have spoken to how much of an impact you've had on Auburn SGA. I'm gonna start crying, so I don't have any more announcements. But I have loved having Summer Senate with you all. I'm very excited to see you guys in the fall. Anything you guys are gonna need, any meetings y'all are gonna have between now and the fall, please let me know so I can be supporting you guys. I'm really pumped. Graf, you have anything?
Nope. Just can't really express how much it's been to have Pearson here for me the last 2 years, and really for all of us. Honestly, there's no telling if I would still even be an SGA if it weren't for the great people, but also the great advisors I've gotten to know. Also say a prayer for Jamie, because now she's like our only advisor for the next little while. And
hey, she's killing it. Don't put that unnecessary pressure. She's killing it. Okay, and so with that, I do not have my gavel, but I have my finished LaCroix, and
hold on just a second, Cole, before you close us out.
Okay, sorry, that was so awkward then for me.
You're good. You're good. Let's give Pearson a chance real quick. Pearson, anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, just I'm just so blown away and just humbled by y'all's kind words and that gesture for that commendation. So thank you all just so much for that. One thing was alluded to at the beginning is something I really think a lot about is people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And each of y'all have been given an incredible opportunity to serve as student senators and serve as members of SGA and leaders across campus. And so hope with that y'all continue to find ways to connect with others, to hear their perspectives, and just to really leave Auburn in a better place than where we found it. Y'all have really been given such an amazing opportunity to make an impact, and know that while I'll be far away and at a rival school, we'll always be cheering for y'all, and know that there's some incredible leaders. And I'm so proud to have begun my professional career with y'all and War Eagle for now and forever.
War Eagle, Pearson, and Brad, unless I have goofed yet again, and thank you, Brad. I don't know why I wasn't thinking that. I'm not sure my brain's working correctly, but I think with that would about end my announcements. And
I'll have a couple real quick if you don't mind.
Yep, Brad, take it away.
Cool. I know everybody's been here a while. Appreciate you for that. War Eagle to Pearson as well. I wish I had a vote in Senate just so I could have voted no on that commendation a minute ago, because I do not want Pearson to leave. But I am really excited that you guys have Jamie, and not only that you have Jamie, but we're in the process, getting close to hiring a new assistant director of student involvement that will be responsible for SGA, BSU, ISO, and student orgs. And I look forward to them joining us very soon and supporting Jamie. And over the fall, I will also be working a little more closely with SGA than I have the past few months. Just in that time that we have a vacancy in the SGA coordinator position. So I look forward to jumping back in with all of you, supporting Jamie and all of you along the way. So thank you for that opportunity. Obviously, I could say a lot about tonight. I'm just going to say a couple quick things. One, I hope each of you learned something and are taking something away that has made you more prepared for the professional world. These are the types of things that you will engage in conversation around with people that are different than you. And I hope that each of you walks out of Senate with the ability to do that, with the ability to confidently share your beliefs, and for those beliefs to be your own, instead of others that are giving them to you. That for me is one thing that leaders are able to do, is to be able to stand up for what you believe in. So thank you to all of those that demonstrated that extremely well tonight. I think another thing that needs to be said is there were things that were hurtful that were shared tonight. And I want to remind all of you that all of our staff's offices are open, mine included. So for those students that are really struggling tonight because of things that were shared, I hope that you will reach out to me and any of our staff members that you feel comfortable doing so, so that we can continue the conversation. And I hope that you feel safe to recognize that that all of you and your voices belong and are important at Auburn, and I hope to be a champion for that. And would love to continue the conversations from tonight. These are hard conversations to have on Zoom, and I think we need to have some spaces and conversations in the fall that are in person to continue these disagreements and conversations, and in the end, learning and development, because that's what all of this is about. So know that our staff offices are open, and that we can also help connect you to other resources that are available as well if you don't feel comfortable directly talking to us. With that, I'll just thank Pearson again, and just give my full vote of confidence as well. And Jamie, we're really, really lucky to have Jamie have joined our team a year ago, and to be fully prepared to step into this because of the amazing work that Pearson has done for not only Senate and Jamie, but for all of SGA to continue making the progress that Pearson has helped facilitate with these past 3 years worth of student leaders. So I ask all of you to continue to work with diligence to grow individually and organizationally, and that takes work. And as you learned really quickly tonight, y'all have a significant responsibility, and it is not our job as staff to be the voters for you. We trust you to be the voters and to represent your constituents. And that's why you did not hear our voices during debates tonight. But I hope that you are open to having conversations with us now that votes have been cast and debates have been had, so that we can continue conversations and supporting each of you on all sides of every bill that comes through. So we're here for you, and that's all I've got to say tonight.
Okay. And on that note, I will say be smart, be safe, and be kind. And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending. I do appreciate it. Final summer Senate, always an exciting point. Oh, something I probably should have said as everyone leaves. You can leave. You don't have to listen to me talk. Is that the next we are not going to have a Senate meeting on the syllabus week. And so our next Senate meeting will be the week after syllabus week. And it was on, I feel bad. It was on the, let's see if it's still titled the old date. Yes, it should be. So it will be on, it was what the future order was on.
The
So it will
23rd.
be the 23rd. The 23rd. There we go. Sorry.
We will have committee meetings every syllabus week, unfortunately, in preparation of the
Yes,
23rd.
that will occur.
But no office hours yet.
But no office hours yet. And speaking of, I guess there's still 41 people on here. I need to hear and see where those office hours are. It's been kind of crickets in my inbox regarding when those office hours are going to be. So would love to hear those, where they're going to go. Yeah. That, and the location where you're going to house the signs. And then just making sure you're checking in with your school's council. The meeting has ended. There are 40 people. I feel it's rude to um, leave before everyone has left?
I just enjoy seeing everybody's faces. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no, I do. I do, Leah.
But I just wanted to say, have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you,
Sleep
Leah.
tight, wake up in the
too,
morning
Leah.
refreshed, ready for the new day.
All right.
His mercies are new every morning.
What I'm going to do is actually probably just end this meeting. And yeah, goodbye, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.